Make sure you support our sponsor, the Cowardly Browser. The Cowardly Browser does everything for you. Worried about people getting your bank information while shopping online? No problem. The Cowardly Browser blocks all e-commerce sites. Is the type too small to read even when you're wearing your favorite pair of reading glasses? No problem. The Cowardly Browser's default type size is a beautifully clear 24 points. Afraid of viruses? Hiding behind links to your favorite websites? Worry no more. The Cowardly Browser has no links. As a matter of fact, you can't even get on the internet with the Cowardly Browser. Just click the name of one of your children or grandchildren, and the Cowardly Browser will call them to do the internet for you. Be sure to keep track of the muskrats you earn on the Cowardly Browser. They can be redeemed for things like Laserdiscs, parts for your Commodore 64, new pages to add to your photo albums, coupons for Golden Corral, and cassette tapes.
Hey there, shitheads. What's up? You know what? Hannibal and Monty are adding to the ultimate comic book movie list. I am so excited I could just shit myself. Well, I already have. See you soon. Bye.
Bridge to Captain Picard.
Go ahead.
We've just received word from the fleet. They've engaged the Borg.
Mr. Data, put Starfleet frequency 1486 on audio.
Aye, sir.
Stan is not a great Eminem song.
No, I did not say Stan is not a great Eminem
Okay,
song.
what did you say?
What happens when a masked producer and a headphone-wearing comic book artist get together to talk music shit, comic book shit, and political shit on the internet? Monty. Hannibal the Beat Animal. Hannibal and Monty Shit Show! Holy shit! My name gets to be in the title this time. Hannibal and Monty Shit Show.
Why is my name second? What kind of shit is this?
Hannibal and Monty Shit Show! Let's talk some shit.
Get your shit together. Get it all together and put it in a backpack. All your shit. So it's together. And if you gotta take it somewhere, Take it to the shit store and sell it. Or put it in a shit museum. I don't care what you do. You just gotta get it together. Get your shit together.
And we are. Oh, there we go. Okay, I had to fix my body. Okay, it's been a while. Let's start this over.
Yes.
And we are live. Welcome to the Hannibal and Monty Shit Show. I am Hannibal the Beat Animal.
And I am Monty.
And this is episode 46. Wait, I got some echo. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. Wait, hang on. We're gonna do all this over again. I'm gonna let y'all watch as we fix this. Hang on. I'm gonna drop that one. And wait. Hang on. This is a shit show, so I can do this right now, live and in front of people. All the boxes are all fucked up. Is the echo gone? Y'all let us know in the chat if the echo's gone while I'm doing this. Yeah, just keep us in the loop on that. The echo should be gone right now.
It's going.
Yeah, there we go. So,
Right.
is
All
it?
right, so the good news is that there's less, that doubler effect is off of your voice, Monty, but I don't know if let's see, hold on. There's still like a delay on your voice though.
Is there?
Yeah.
I don't
That's
care about a
fine.
delay. If
No. You do care about this delay. You definitely care about this delay.
I care about this delay.
Yes.
That
Okay.
is gone according to the chat.
Okay.
All right, the echo is gone. But
good.
what about that delay? Is that something I need to worry about?
Mitchell says sound is good.
All right. Well, Hannibal, take it from the top.
Okay. Try this again.
Take two.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. She sells seashells by the seashore. Okay, here we go. Welcome to Hannibal and Monty Shit Show. I am Hannibal the Beat Animal.
And I am Monty.
And this is episode 46. Maybe an episode about...
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? Same.
Hang on. Hang on, we got to do that over.
The timing on that was perfect.
It was. I don't know who that was with the super chat or the nickel chat or Streamlabs. I'm gonna read it after this intro. After Hannibal says there may be an episode about again.
Okay. I'm gonna do it. No, I'm gonna do it one more time. It's good stuff. All right, here we go. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather.
I love fuck ups like that. Thank you for breaking the momentum of the show like that. That was awesome. I love you. What? There you go. All right. Whoever you were, I'm trying to remember who that was. I'll look in a second.
Started with a K.
Okay. All right. Welcome to Can't do it the same energy. One more time. All right.
Wait. Get your shit together. Dun.
Okay. All right. Are we good?
Yes, we're good.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Hannibal and Monty Shit Show. I am Hannibal the Beat Animal.
And I am Monty.
And this is episode 46. Maybe an episode about...
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
Or
Same thing that happens to everything else.
There we go. Yes.
Awesome.
Love Storm.
Took a while, but we got to.
We got there. And look at that shit. That's all off center. Let me do the thing that I hate to do live. Let me just adjust this fucking video really quick.
See, what you do is you pretend this is Saturday Night Live and they start laughing at their own jokes. It's great. Those are like the best episodes.
That was, you know what, the best part of having Jimmy Fallon on that show was that he would always break character and just start falling out laughing. Like, that was the best thing about him, was that he would just like fuck up, look at the camera and just start laughing. He's like, yeah, I lost it.
Yeah. So
Pete Davidson does that a lot too now. You know, but I go through these phases with Saturday Night Live where it's like I'll watch it for like a bunch of years and then I won't watch it for a bunch of years. And then when I come back to watching it, I'm like, man, I don't know any of these people. These guys aren't funny. And then I'll start watching a little bit and I'll be like, all right, they're pretty funny. And then I'll be like, oh my God, they're fucking hilarious. And then they're gone again. And then I stop watching and I do the same thing with Saturday Night Live that I also do with Doctor Who. It's like, I fall in love with I fall in love with a doctor, then they change them, and then I stop watching the show for a while. Then I come back to watching the show and I'll be like, oh, you know what? This doctor was actually pretty awesome. I probably shouldn't have just abandoned ship so easily.
Yeah. I think that's everybody with Doctor Who. I think that's why Doctor Who is Doctor Who. That's what we both love and hate about Doctor Who. That Doctor Who will go, now we want you to get sick of this show, just so you can come back in a couple weeks or a month, however, whatever your schedule is.
Yeah,
come back when you come back.
I have to admit, being a raging Whovian, I actually have a sonic screwdriver there, you know. But it's my first experience with Doctor Who was with Eccleston. Okay, so that was the ninth Doctor. He was my first Doctor, and so I wasn't on board with that series because I'd never been exposed to Doctor Who prior to, believe it or not. So when I was like, oh my God, I love this show. And then they changed him. I'm like, what are you doing? I was personally offended, like, for a very long time. I'm like, they did this on purpose. And then David Tennant, by like the second or third episode, I was on board. But every single time it changes, it takes me a bit longer. It took me an entire season to get used to Matt Smith. And I didn't even get used to Capaldi until his very last season. That's when I got used to him, and then they got rid of him. I'm like, I can't do this. But I do like the new Doctor. She's pretty funny.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything with her yet.
The last episodes I watched were of Capaldi, and I'm only like halfway through the Capaldi seasons. I like when I knew they were about to change him, I just stopped watching. I was just like, yeah, I just don't even want to just commit myself to it right now. So I'm probably a solid 25 episodes behind. So
Damn.
when I do watch it though, I'm gonna be like, oh man, this is fucking badass. I love this shit. But I got to, because I was already starting to like his brooding kind of just assholishness, and I like that they also kept him Scottish.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
That's cool. He's funny. I mean, I liked the last season. I didn't like the souffle girl. What's her name? Claire.
All right. Yeah, a lot of people. Clara. A lot of people
Clara.
didn't like Clara. I didn't have a problem with Clara.
No, not Clara. Clara.
Yeah.
Clara.
Yeah.
I thought they were the worst. I thought they had the worst relationship because they lied to each other all the time and treated each other like garbage. I'm like, I don't want to watch this. This is just like, this is a horrible, toxic relationship going on between the two of them. I'm like, that's not, he lies. And I know the doctor lies, but it's just like, he's just really kind of super toxic with her, and she's super toxic with him, and she lies to him about stuff because she don't want to deal with him, and he lies to her about stuff. I'm like, why do I don't want to watch this. This is horrible.
See, now just so you know, Mel, you just made me want to watch it even more now when you talked about the toxicity of their relationship. Like I'm one of them guys, like I don't mind watching something that's fucked up. Like I don't mind watching like the sad, fucked up movie where it's just like nobody learns anything, nobody gets better. You just be like, damn, these are some fucked up people. Yeah. That's a good movie.
And look, on that note, I gotta look, and before I read Adam E's comment, I'm gonna read that Streamlabs real quick. And if you want to send Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Hannibal and Monty Show. Be like Kilo, who said, I told you next time I caught a live show, I would dono 20. Monty, love you guys. Thank you. And then
that is fantastic. Who's that from?
That was from Kilo.
Thank you, Kilo.
Yeah,
you're the boss. You the man.
Yes.
I fuck with you.
And Adam E just said, like, I wanted to chime in with that. Had to hit the Streamlabs first. But Adam E said, this is all French to me. And that is a perfect segue to the look of the show, if y'all haven't noticed. I didn't even show this shit to Hannibal before going live with it. So he might have seen the thumbnail. I don't know if you did or not. But
I did.
Yes, it is because I expected to be broadcasting from France 2 weeks ago, then 1 week ago, and now it's today. But as I told Hannibal when going out there, that the only internet I've come across in France whenever I visit comes through a potato. Then that potato starts to get a little overcooked, so you got to go out in the yard, pull another one up out of the ground, plug the internet into that, and you get some good speed for a while. And apparently potato internet is not enough for a shit show, so it couldn't happen. Those 2 videos that I posted, the first one took about an hour and a half. The second video took about 3 hours to upload. That's the type of internet speed I was working with. So
it reminds me of the time we were down in New Orleans with Spirited Science, and then we had to combat the Wi-Fi with the wedding party at the.
Yes.
Like we're gonna get a YouTube strike because they're playing Blondie in the background.
Yeah. Wait, which Blondie song though? Hold on. Wait a minute.
I don't remember.
I think it was Heart of Glass.
There you go. Okay, good. That was the only answer I would accept. So yeah. I was glad that was it.
And I gotta say, I got some I see you, Tish. And I got some awesome headbands, and I'm not wearing one of them right now. I'm wearing my Eevee one because this was because I started playing Harry Potter instead of Pokemon today. So this was in memory of Pokemon today. I
like that you said in memory of, like, because you stopped playing it, all of a sudden the game doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. In my world, it doesn't exist. I started playing it because Zoe is absolutely in love with Harry Potter, and I play Pokemon with her. So if she's jumping ship, I guess I'm jumping ship too. So because I play with my daughter. Like,
so you mean to tell me if Zoe decided to jump off a bridge, you would also jump off a bridge? Be your own person, Monty. Okay?
No. I mean, as far as games go, games that we walk around, because Zoe's my walking buddy. We need to be playing the same game, so I'll let her pick the game. So we're playing Harry Potter now. I was trying to learn how to play it. It's all right.
Does it play like Pokemon Go?
Kinda. The map looks the same. I don't quite understand what the fuck I'm doing, but you do all these cool shapes to cast spells and shit. I don't know.
So you lost me when the game included geometry in order for me to play it. I just want you to know that was it. So if you wanted me to play the game, you're like, hey Hannibal, got this great game you should play. It involves calculus. I'm like, oh, so I'm not gonna play that game. Is what you just told me.
Yeah, it's
My
calculus
goodness.
from all over the world.
You start putting letters in with math, and then Hannibal's like, nope, not today, Satan.
There it is. See, you guys know me so well. I love it.
And let me get through all this so that let me do all the, the shilling that comes at the beginning of shows like this, which, and also I missed all of you shitheads in the chat. Thank y'all for coming back. I got to say that first.
Monty would send me all these Marco Polos talking about how he missed you guys and he missed the show. It was funny.
It was a long 2 weeks. I did the most stressful thing a Monty could ever do twice. So I'm past that. I don't have to do that shit again for another fucking year. Thank you. God, I don't necessarily believe is there, but but yeah, I'm done with all that. I got it out of the way. I do it quick, boom, boom, get it out of the way. I don't have to do that shit anymore. Now I'm back to showing for however long, and we're gonna bump some shit out. And if y'all want to support this shit, we got some awesome shit planned. I hit Hannibal up with an idea while I was out in France I got from France. There is some cool shit coming from the Hannibal and Monty corner of the internet, which we'll get into later once we start putting these pieces together. Right now, it's an idea, going to become something awesome, along with many other awesome things along the same lines. But if you want to support shit like that, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/5H1T. And I don't know if I shouted out Josh Laxon last time, but that's our newest Patreon. Thank you. And you can also use Streamlabs, as Kilo did earlier, streamlabs.com/Hannibal and Monty Show.
Yes.
Or the little $sign if you're watching on YouTube. If you don't like any of those other ways and you love to send your payments through YouTube, you can use the nickel chats. Now when you send them, it says nickel chat and not whatever the fuck YouTube calls them. I don't know what they call them. But it says nickel chat when it pops up when you send those in. And we are also broadcasting live on Twitch. One person's watching there. I don't know who you are, but I see you on Twitch. I'm watching that chat. Twitch is twitch.tv/5H1T_show. Facebook.com/Hannibal and Monty. Instagram @5H1T Show. Snapchat show_5H1T. Twitter is @5H1T Show. I'm going to rearrange those so I say Instagram and Twitter at the same time, since they are exactly the same. And also, Amazon wishlist is in the link below if you want to send us awesome shit like Wellington Smith did with the capture card. Thank you so much for that, Wellington Smith. And or if you just want to send us some random shit, P.O. Box 13013, New Orleans, Louisiana 70185. And I haven't checked that in 2 weeks, so I don't know if there's any shit in there. So if anybody sent anything, it'll be on the next show. And that's all of it. I think I got through that fairly quick while, checking to make sure I got it right. So any stuff I missed that you can think of?
Oh, yeah, I can think of something that you missed. Mitchell in the chat said that Hannibal would very clearly be a Slytherin. First off, I am definitely a Ravenclaw, if anything. Okay, don't put me in that evil ass house. First off, there ain't no black kids. There's no black kids. Right. There's first off, hold up. Listen, there are no black kids in the Slytherin house. You got to be super white with blonde ass hair in order to be there. You got to be evil as shit. Okay, not Slytherin, Ravenclaw, maybe Hufflepuff.
I took that test 3 times and it put me in Slytherin every single time, dude.
It's the red hair. It's the red hair.
I don't know. I think it's the potions and chemistry thing. Are you keen on making potions? Yeah, Slytherin automatically.
That's what they got. You got typecast, Scientist Mel. I don't know what house. I think all the black kids in Harry Potter are all in Gryffindor. You know what I'm saying? There was like 4 black kids, and also shout out to the Harry Potter movies for being progressive enough for none of the black kids being on none of the Quidditch teams. All right, they could have went very stereotypical and made all the black kids super good at sports, but they didn't do that. Although maybe J.K. Rowling was being specific because she knows black kids don't really like flying and shit. So maybe that's part of what it was. I don't know. We got to ask J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, we'll have to find out when she's on the show. Like one day.
Originally she said that Hermione was supposed to be a little black girl.
Yeah, I heard she said that, and I heard she said that, and the internet lost their mind. She was like, "Yeah, Hermione's supposed to be black, and Dumbledore is gay," and they was like, "What? I can't believe Hermione was black."
Why is that even a problem? I hate people. Oh my goodness, Andy DeWitt just gave y'all $100.
Andy DeWitt. What the?
Didn't see that happen?
Oh man,
shit!
It's in the chat. Wow, Andy. Okay.
Oh
Andy,
wait! It's gonna pop up. You're gonna give me a chance to fix this while I read it because I think he
didn't have a message. He just said a flat $100. Well, goodness.
Oh well, shit.
Wow,
yeah, he was with us when we did Spirited Science with the loud wedding party.
Yes. Andy, you're the man. Yeah, I remember Andy. Thank you so much for that, dude.
And
that's
you know
awesome.
what he said, Andy, and you know what he said after he donated the $100? He said, "For Ravenclaw, thank you, thank you."
There it is.
Thank you. He knows. He gets it, and he knows.
Oh my goodness.
Oh shit! Penultima just bought some merch. Shit. Thanks,
Cool.
Penultima.
Yes. You guys are like, look, listen. There it is.
There's the nickel chat.
There's the nickel chat. There we go.
Thank you so much, Andy, and thank you, Penultima. And I was about to say, before that even came through, damn, Penultima, y'all wonder why Penultima has so many fucking plunger points. It's because he's in the chat on YouTube. I look over to Twitch. Penultima's the guy in the chat in Twitch, and he just bought a fucking mug. Damn, dude. This is shithead of the year. Like, he's killing y'all. I don't know how. Or I know how.
Well, I know how. No, yeah, Penultima's the guy. He's the man. Like in 10,000 ways. We actually had a phone call. We did like a conference call just one day with just some of the shitheads, and we ended up just getting in there talking with Penultima for like an hour about just his hometown and just some of the cool things there. So, and Monty and I are playing around with some really cool ideas for episodes. We were talking about 1 or 2 earlier today. And look at Kilo with the Team Monty. You know what? I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna let you. And I know he says, "Oh shit, Hannibal, a white kid with blonde hair is evil now." No, look, I didn't say that. Hollywood said that. And also, yes, blonde kids with blue eyes. Yes,
Team Monty. I don't think that. Like I spent, or her hair isn't completely blonde, but it's blonde enough. Spent the first half of my Paris or France trip with a little white kid with blondish hair. She wasn't evil. She was the sweetest little girl ever. She was wonderful. So, see, Team Monty. Thank you.
All right. All right. I feel some type of way about that, Kilo, but you know what? I'm gonna sway you back to Team Hannibal in just a bit. I'm not even gonna worry about it. Y'all don't understand how excited I am to talk about these motherfucking X-Men movies. Okay, I am so. I know we got stuff to do. You know, we got stuff to do.
No, go.
No, I mean, no. I'm radiating with excitement. I'm like Jubilation Lee, and I have little fingered firecrackers coming out of my fingers right now. That's how excited I am with it. Like, I'm gonna take the effects and put this on Snapchat and make it look like I'm shooting effects out. Or maybe somebody can do that on TikTok. Any of you guys use TikTok? Is everybody in our audience too old to know what TikTok is?
I'm on TikTok.
Okay. Are you really?
I am.
I hear that and I think of that Keisha song.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's also not wrong. But like, like with social media, there's like, so if you're old, you use Facebook. And then if you're younger, you use Instagram. And if you're really young, you use Snapchat. And if you're a baby, then you use TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, it's creepy as fuck. I got on it for Zoe when it was Musically. And
yeah, it was. I had it when it was Musically.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
I got a fuck ton of friend requests, and they're all her friends. So I don't use the fucking app unless I am sitting with Zoe, because I'm friends right now with a bunch of 13-year-old little girls.
Nope,
so I don't use the account.
There you go. Like, it's a fucking FBI setup, man. That's how they got R. Kelly. So do it.
So if Zoe's sitting with me and she's like, "Hey, do this TikTok thing with me," okay, I'll do this with you. Then I close it.
You know what I'm just thinking about? Like, okay, when they caught R. Kelly peeing on that child, right? I mean, allegedly, I have to say, when they allegedly caught R. Kelly peeing on that child, they had it on like videotape. Like somebody videotaped it and like on VHS, and then made a copy of it and then sent that to somebody. Like it wasn't like he accidentally streamed it. Like it was like some effort that went into this. Somebody had to have two VCRs side by side, or they had to have the one VCR that had the two components so you could put the two tapes in. They had to take like a blank tape or like a second copy of Home Alone and then put that tape over the little side part, so then put it in so they could record over it. There was a lot of work that went into sending that tape out. I just thought about that.
Yep.
It wasn't like somebody just like copy and pasted it from their hard drive. It was some effort that went into that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And the Batman, stop, doxing how Penultimate gets his plunger points, dude. Come on.
His Penultimate is an ultra super mega demon that sacrifices babies for plunger points.
You guys have to teach me about points, man. I'm gonna start doing that on my channel.
Oh,
So
I'll show you how it works. It's simple. It's super easy.
Awesome.
But
I didn't want to call them Mel's minions.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Penultimate says he told the Batman that in confidence.
Don't be sharing people's business. That's not nice.
Yes.
Funny.
And look, this will be really quick. Normally I go into what's coming up next.
Try to make it clap, coming up next.
Yeah.
Yes. So and I'll tell you really quickly what's up next. We don't quite know yet. But tomorrow I will probably flood the thing with upcoming episodes for the month. I am so behind on all this shit. I know there's a Spider-Man episode coming up.
Yes, we will be, and sometime this month we'll be doing a Spider-Man episode. We might even do a Men in Black episode, depending on, so we can add those to. Maybe we could do Men in Black for August, maybe. Yeah. So we can. By that time, it won't be in the theater anymore. So
is Men in Black a comic book movie?
Yes, it is. I
loved it. I saw the film. I thought it was great. Men in Black International. I thought it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. Fucking it's like we did Ragnarok and Endgame together. Let's go ahead and do some more shit.
What are we wait a minute about dot executables? I just saw that, but I'll read the chat. But yeah. Yeah, I didn't know.
Men in
comic book movie.
Men in Black is a comic book. Yes, it is. Oh, also for the people that are watching us on Facebook right now, shout out to Jimmy King, Juanita Epps, Lexi. How you doing, darling? I ain't seen Lexi in a while. She's one of my bartenders. She's fucking awesome. She got great attitude. Like, we used to have some shitty days and make each other laugh and be like, all right, they still shitty, but it's less so now because of you. And Mike Perozzi, one of my favorite bartenders, who just watched Dark Phoenix, and then he texted me to let me know what he thought about the movie. So, when we get to Dark Phoenix, I will read your text message on the air so everybody can know. It's nothing crazy out the box. It's just, he did.
I like Dark Phoenix. And just if you want to know how old I am, I used to DJ when the first Men in Black came out, and I was on the floor doing the dance.
Oh, yeah, the Men in Black dance. Yeah. When they first did that at the end of the movie, the first Men in Black, I thought it was the corniest thing I ever saw. And then the second time, then when the second time I heard it or saw it, I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Like, Will Smith is a fucking genius.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was a genius when I first saw it, but like, you know, Jazzy Jeff in my book can do no wrong. Like, that dude is like, if you guys don't know, DJ Jazzy Jeff is a phenomenal producer. I wish he did more music that people heard on a regular basis. A couple years ago, and I'm saying a couple years ago, this might have been like 10, 15 years ago, he did an album which is essentially just him playing beats. And it's, if I remember it the way it was, I thought that shit was dope as hell when it came out. So you haven't checked it out, guys. You guys should check that shit out. That shit is dope. So.
It's great. I have to say it was perfect, especially being a DJ at the time. And I at the time was doing middle school dances, and nobody ever dances in middle school dances except for like the 5 same kids that come up and do the same 3 moves over and over again. You know,
this is true.
And so when the Men in Black came on, I'd be like, "Hey guys, you guys know how to do this?" And like pulling them out. You know, all right, here we go. Like, dance like and then slide. You know, if you try to get people dancing, that's actually kind of a good way to do it. Is put something out that requires multiple people doing the same moves for the people who absolutely cannot dance, but they can move a little bit. You know, it's just.
I was that kid in middle school that always got in trouble for grinding on the girls. So.
I believe that.
I was that kid. I was always way too. It was like, hey, you want to dance nasty? And she'd be like, all right. And then we would. And then like, you know how they would have that rule where you have to dance like arms out? Like, I feel like they created that rule for me. Because I always knew, because then I knew during the slow songs, I said, I'm going to try to kiss her. So I was like, all right, so let me see who I'm going to try to make out with during the slow songs. Like, hey, you want to dance? Bet. And I was like, I knew it. I was going for like, it literally worked 100% of the time. And again, this is not something that I'm recommending to all the like middle school children that are watching Hannibal and Monty shit show. I know there's dozens of you, you know, that found us on TikTok. So, but yeah, it's
Crazy Horse. France was awesome. In a future shit show, I might take over What's Eating Hannibal for a segment about the Heathrow Airport in London.
Oh gosh.
But we'll that'll be later. So
I saw your tweet about that. I'm like, why are you hating on my London, man? Why are you hating on my London?
I fucking love London. All the airports in London, I don't always use this word as a descriptor, but it's the only fitting one. They're all trash. Trash. Yes. Oh my God. Fuck it. Fuck all of them. That's all I'm gonna say right now.
Funny.
Skill says you still dance like that, Hannibal.
Yeah, I do. I do still dance. I do still dance nasty. It's the only way I know how to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Does it still work 100% of the time?
Okay, so you know, having been in a committed relationship for the better part of a decade, I can't say that it is as effective now. So now, like slow dancing now just kind of just leads to like, you know, just like, hey baby, you want me to pay this rent? And it's like, you know, different things turn girls on when you get older. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, say, hey baby, you say you want this full coverage health insurance. So
like, you want to pay? It's like somebody, hey baby, can I pay on your student loan? Yes, you can.
Oh yeah, that's like, so yeah. If you like, look, listen, guys, I'm giving y'all the sauce. I'm giving y'all all the secret stuff right now. If you want to know the key to increasing your odds, this is love advice from Hannibal to beat Hannibal. All right. First off, watch every episode of Sex and the City. All right. Get a cat just so you can learn their mannerisms and their bullshit. Right. Then find a girl that you like, ask out on a date. Right? You know, ask her to lunch. Don't ask her on a date. Just say, hey, you hungry? Because she is, because of course. And then when you take her out, just be like, yeah, you know, ask her about her student loans, and then just offer to help her pay them shits off. And there you go. Got yourself. That gives you give you a 75% chance of increasing your likelihood of a relationship. You're welcome.
Don't spend it on a wedding. Don't spend it on a ring. Baby, I'm going to pay off your student loans when we get our life started. Abso-freaking-lutely, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Shayla said 50% of the time it works, Mel. She said just half the time it works. Hey, 50% of the time it works
every time. Yes.
So, yes. But we will have a Spider-Man episode coming. And, we'll see if we can do the scammer episode in July. Monty and I are going to try. And the key word here is try. Because we didn't get a chance to do a couple shows. And Monty and I genuinely missed it. So we were talking back and forth via Marco Polo. And we were just talking about how much we missed doing the show and how much we wanted to get back to doing the show. And be like, man, what do you think the Batman's doing? What do you think Penultimate's thinking right now? What do you think Spec is got going on right now? We was like, you know what? Fuck, we really enjoy this fucking show. Damn. All right. Well, we're going to try to see if we can do more shows in July to compensate for what we didn't do and for at the end of June. Monty couldn't help it. His potato supply ran short and we just couldn't do those episodes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was the potatoes were brought out like 2 seconds into testing a live stream. Those of you that follow us on Twitter saw that my restream settings was still the same from the last episode where it was like before Monty goes to France or whatever the fuck it was. Twitter kept posting that shit. And I didn't realize it till somebody said, hey, you just posted this. I'm like, oh, shit, I did. Okay, let me delete it.
Oh, my gosh. You guys have to come back on my channel. I have a new show now. And you guys be part of it. It's inspired. It's inspired by your song. What was it? Audacity.
The Audacity.
The Audacity.
Listen,
it's completely inspired by that.
I don't normally do this with you, Mel, but we're going to come on your new show with a writer. You have to play the Audacity.
I will absolutely. It's funny because Doc went off on a massive rant about G-Man. From time to time, nice. He was just like, "Fuck you, G-Man." Yeah. Just sitting there, and he's like,
"I randomly
a great actor. He's a great actor."
Yes. I randomly went on a G-Man rant on the last episode, and Hannibal called it a "What's Eating Monty." It was because that fucker said that we didn't invite him onto the G-Man episode. And fuck you for saying that, G-Man. I'm going to say that again.
That's true. Monty is on many occasions, on many a show, because he's done it on the Drunken Peasants. I think he did it on the Morning Wood. He also did, I think he might have did it when last time he was on the Geek Room. He was just like, look, if you want to get on the show, you can get on our show.
Yeah, and I was even on G-Man's fucking channel talking to him and saying, hey, you should come on to our show.
Yeah.
And then he hung up on me.
Yeah.
He's mad that we won't talk to him. It's
I'm responding to Pete in the chat, Pete McCurdy. Shout out to Pete. That's the homie right there. He's a fantastic music producer. So we might have to get you to donate some music to the show. At least we can co-produce some shit for the show. But he was asking about the potatoes. The potatoes is the internet in France is terrible. Or El Terrible, I guess, is the way you would say it. So
no, that's not French, Hannibal.
It sounded French. It sounded French to me.
Lay.
Oh, okay, right. It's le terrible.
There you go. That's
terrible. So anyway, it's like instead of them using like normal things like, wires and electricity, instead they just grow a potato and stick a light bulb and a battery in it and like some duct tape. And then that's where the internet comes from. It's so slow. So just know the next time you do some online gaming, find out who is playing the game that is from France and play them first. At least in the first couple rounds, the way you can power up. So don't play anybody from Korea or Japan. You're just gonna get your ass kicked. Well, South Korea. You might get. I don't know what the internet is like in North Korea, but I feel like they're probably not on those games. I don't know if you could play Street Fighter online and play against somebody from North Korea. Is that an option? Is that a thing?
I can. I don't know.
It's P L horrible L horrible.
Hypothesis is wondering who is a G-Man-tastic producer. He kind of missed who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Pete McCurdy in the chat. Matter of fact, I'm gonna find his Instagram
and listen. I just want to point this out before I move into the meat of the show. Shitheads, I think we finally broke Hannibal. He didn't respond. He didn't respond to the G-Man-tastic producer thing. Good job.
Yeah, I just know. I just tuned it out. I refuse. I'm not gonna do that because we did the G-Man torture episode like 1,000 years ago. I didn't understand what we're talking about that shit. So
yeah. So there you go. And while you look that up, I'm gonna ask you the one question I have. I'm gonna ask you both the one question I have for this episode, and it is this.
What's up, nigga? You want to talk some shit?
So look, I hate to perpetuate the stereotypes about black people, but doesn't he sound like he's about to shoot somebody?
I was thinking maybe he wanted to like go and have a burger and have a nice chat about something.
I did not. He looks like he's ready to do somebody bodily harm. Like I walked into a barbershop and started talking bad about Tupac, and he was like, "Sup, nigga? You want to talk some shit?" Like, nah, man. No, I don't. I don't want to talk any shit, man.
It could be also like, they used to have those after school specials where they're like anti-drugs. Maybe he's coming up and it's an intervention and he's trying to be like really serious about it. It's like, you know what I found in your closet? Let's talk some shit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you. See, Scientist Mel finding that silver lining in the room, not me. I feel like I'm like, hey, bro, you got a pistol on you? He like, no. I said, all right, let's fight. I'm pretty sure I can beat your ass in a fist fight. I'm pretty sure. I am 100% positive I can. Well, I'm gonna say 99.9% positive. I got to give myself that 0.01% margin of error. But I just need you around me all the time because I see too much positive in people and then it ends up going south. Like, no, Hannibal's here. Hannibal, he doesn't have a gun. Please handle this, sir. Oh yeah. I'm all the way. Look, like I said, I'm like T'Challa from Black Panther. My superpower is these hands. So I'm just like, you can handle that shit you want. And look, you have not lived until you've seen me hit somebody with a butterfly kick in the face wearing a mask, okay? Ask Ace Wonder the next time he is on the show. It is a brilliant thing. Shayla's actually never seen me beat anybody's ass yet. And I'm a little unnerved by that because in the time that we've been together, I feel like she should have seen me kick somebody's ass. But, I'll take care of that one of these days, babe. Somebody get their ass kicked.
Awesome. So. I want to be there. I'll live stream it for you if you want me to. And here we have Hannibal in his natural environment beating some ass from a dumb person who decided to like pick the wrong fight.
Yeah, I always tell him, I'm like, hey, look, listen. Like from Harlem Nights, don't take this ass whipping personal. All right, not a big deal. Okay, I'm just gonna lay you out real fast. Just take a quick 15 seconds and prepare to go to sleep. And that's it.
And then when you wake up, you would have learned something new about yourself and perhaps maybe not make the same mistakes that have brought you to this moment.
Right. That's all they end up learning is, man, the ground isn't as uncomfortable as I thought. That's all they learn. So it's like, you just get up. It's like, I just took a very nice nap. This is the best 15-second sleep I've ever had. But as I get older, I don't like knocking people out. I'm all about choking people out. So I'm using my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling now as opposed to, like, back in the day, I was like, no, I want to headbutt somebody and knock them unconscious. But now I'm just like, nah, I'm just choke you out. So easier that way. And just so you know, vote for, join Team Hannibal because not only will I make their dreams and wishes come true, but I will also knock one person completely the fuck out for you. So that's what comes when you join Team Hannibal. Even though Monty and I aren't doing the teams anymore. So
I'll give you a list. How about that? And you can be like, it's kind of be like Jessica Jones when somebody gives her a list. Who do you want to help today? I don't care. You're like, here, just you pick for me. Right there.
That'll be a great episode. Just have all the shitheads just send me a list of people to knock the fuck out. We shoot a video of Hannibal traveling all across the world and just knocking on people's doors. And Joseph Stevenson, I got it. And just choke them out.
It'll be like Jay and Silent Bob when they got like printed out. It's like they printed out all of these different bad comments about their film, and then they went door to door. Are you so-and-so and so-and-so? You had this to say on this forum about the film. And then Jay goes in and punches him in the face. Oh, my God, I would watch that.
Kilo says, I've never kicked someone in the face, Hannibal, but I got my ass handed to me by 20 Cubans. Look, listen, if you vote for Team Hannibal, I will go fuck up 10 of those 20 Cubans. All right? For sure. Like, lay them out. You know what I'm saying? Easy. Easy peasy.
See, there you go. See, you got Hannibal's got you covered.
Yeah, I got you.
And just so that we can get through this shit, first, before we get into the movies, we'll go to, so we added, because every time we do one of these Ultimate Comic Book Movie episodes, we always go way too fucking long. So we'll run a test on Hannibal. Like, this is the way it's gonna work. Let's see. I'm gonna give you a topic, Hannibal.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to just talk about it.
Okay.
Because, but let me explain why I'm doing this. Every time we do these shows, no matter the cast, no matter who's on, we do these shows, we all get our one movie or 3 movies or all 6 movies where we just want to go on, and we go on, and we go on. One of us. All of us. So, to help that problem, we have a system. So, Hannibal, why don't you talk about, I don't know, changing tires? I don't know. Just
all right, I got you. Changing tires.
And I'm going to show you how this works.
Okay, I got you.
Continue. Go.
All right, so my last car was a Nissan Sentra, 2016 Nissan Sentra, and got a flat tire, needed to change the tire, so I went to go get the jack for the car, and as I was jacking up the car, it kept collapsing under the weight of the car, and I was like, I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. Why the fuck would they give me a jack for my car that can't support the weight? At first, I thought I was doing it wrong. Like, I was like, damn, am I not a man? Is this not something that I learned?
That sound means you have 30 seconds. Continue.
Well, I can't continue with the music.
Stop the music. Stop the music.
Damn it to hell. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so that was awesome. Thank you, whomever. Was that a subscription? That's a donation? How about these? Gotcha. Okay. See, well, I feel like so that music is perfect, but we need a shorter version of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna make a new one moving forward, but I'm gonna cut the volume after it plays, and then I'll cut it back up because it ends with the Super Mario dying sound. That means your time's up. So once you hear that, you got 30 seconds to wrap up. That goes for all of us, and we're gonna go a minute to a minute and a half. You think for each of us for talking minute and a half on each movie, and then there's discussion. Then we'll discuss. So there'll be time to get other points.
Let's do a minute, and then we can discuss after.
Okay. So there we go. So we got.
I got you. I appreciate you for letting me know ahead of time because I was definitely gonna be fucked up by it. Also, I just want to say this real fast because Ace Wonder just jumped in the chat and he said, he was referring to Kilo's thing. He was like, "I'll take half of those Cubans for you. It should be good testing for his newfound skill set." So see, there you go. You vote your Team Hannibal, and I'll eat half of the people fucking you. They're not fucking you. It's not a bukkake. I'll take half of the people fucking with you, and Ace Wonder will take the other half of those people. There you go.
You could have turned that into a Deadpool moment,
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, did I mean that or?
Yeah. There you go. All right, I'm with it. Okay, so cool. We'll talk a little bit, and then the music will pop in, and then I'm ready. I'm good.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start with the first one, and I don't have exact dates. I'm going to go with just years on them. This movie, I don't know if it was it actually released, but this is the earliest one on the list. It's from 1996.
Yeah.
Generation X.
Yeah. Said we were going to do X-Men movies. We definitely didn't consider the fact that there was this made-for-TV bullshit that came out. So.
Oh God, I missed this entirely, so I cannot comment on this.
Scientist Mel didn't watch Generation X. Oh man.
All right.
I told on myself, so that's my fault.
Oh, it's okay. You can always go back and watch it and give it a grade. And I don't have and for the shitheads, I don't have the bot set up, but we'll do it old school. If you've seen this movie, drop the name of the movie and your grade so we can scan through. We'll look for this little tag on the video when we scan through, and we'll just watch the chat for this, and we'll add yours to the shithead list.
Yeah. So we'll add it to the list. All right, Monty, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I mean, I can go first. Generation X, I remember I actually owned this movie.
Shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Yes, I actually own this movie. I bought it at a Comic-Con in the one of the little bootleg DVD stores back when DVDs were a thing. And watched it and tried to convince myself for months and months that it was good. I watched it a few times. I had completely forgotten about it until I watched it again. And it's still just as bad. This time I wasn't trying to convince myself that it was good. I just accepted that this was just a bad movie because I thoroughly enjoyed the Generation X comics and wanted this to be as good as Generation X comics. Like they had versions of all the characters, but that's about as close as they got. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen, but it also wasn't the most mediocre movie I've ever seen. So,
how does it match up to Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and David Hasselhoff's version?
I haven't seen that movie in a while. Yeah. Just so you guys know, we are floating with the idea of doing a torture challenge that'll become combined with the movies, the great comic book list, where we have to watch all the worst comic book movies and then rate and review them and add them to the list. So,
as a matter of fact, just to make this month easier, when I go and reset things for the show, that is going to be this month's torture episode, I think.
Oh, God damn it.
And I'm gonna let you heads, you guys right over there. There we go. That's where you are. I'm gonna let you guys pick the movies, and we're gonna start by if you're watching this after the fact, or come back to this show once it's all done. In the comments, I want you to drop the name of a movie. Everybody that drops the name of a bad movie will get an extra 25 plunger points also.
Okay. Fuck, I kind of wish I wouldn't have said it because I didn't think we wanted to do it this early.
Yeah. We'll see what kind of response we get. If the shitheads want it, shitheads are like, the spoiled daughter, If the shitheads ask for it, we'll make sure they get it.
Freaking watch Elektra.
Benjamin Meredith gave Generation X a solid C.
Solid C. All right. Wow. Okay. I think that's generous. I gave it a D plus. So
okay.
That's where I fell with it. I gave it a D plus.
I will have a look and let you know. Yeah. I completely missed that in the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't miss much. I literally just watched that movie before we went live. Actually, part of the reason, and I am not proud to admit this, and yet not ashamed to admit this either. I was the reason that the episode ran late today. I was taking care of some personal things, and I still hadn't watched Generation X. So when I got home, I had to watch that movie so we could do the episode. Because I watched all the other X-Men movies. And for the record, for this episode, we are only reviewing the X-Men group movies. We are not doing the standalone Wolverine movies or the Deadpool movies, even though I love those movies and I wish we were, but we're not doing those right now. Generation X, Dave Chappelle said it best. He was like, "What can I say about your coat that I haven't already said about Afghanistan? It looks bombed out and depleted." That's what this movie is. This movie is just bad, bad, bad. It's bad acting, bad writing, bad effects. And I don't know who they made this movie for. Like, it comes across like a Power Rangers episode, but it's got like cursing and adult themes in it. Like, like there's like I don't want to. There's no sex, but there's heavy petting. There's a little bit of teenage nudity. There's a bunch of gratuitous cursing and just a little bit of complete racism. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Like, there's a scene where the main villain, played by a Lawnmower Man, Stephen King's Lawnmower Man. I don't know his real name. I just remember his Lawnmower Man, right? He tells, "Okay, Monty, I got you. I hear it." There's a scene in the movie where he tells this dude, like, "Do what I tell you, you stupid wetback." I was like, whoa, hold up. He's already a mutant. The nigga gotta be a wetback too. Like, it's just...
All right, there we go.
Right. I guess I'm done. It's just, yeah.
And look, we discussed this on the phone, and I was like, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I knew you and Mel, your rants go longer.
Okay. All right. Well then. Okay. Well then,
I can't contribute, so we just skip me. So
yeah.
Okay. Well then, give me like another 30. There's just 3 scenes in this movie that are bad.
I'm gonna give you Mel's minute, and then we're gonna rediscuss the time.
I don't even need a minute to do this. There are like, so I'm giving this movie a D-. This is not a good movie at all. Okay. All right. Like, and Benjamin Meredith, I think you're looking at this movie. Yeah. Thank you, Pete. It's a bad movie, right? There are 3 scenes in this movie that are awful. One is like Emma Frost walks into a police station and she's trying to save Jubilee, and she convinces like her and Banshee walk into a police station to rescue Jubilee, and she holds up a piece of psychic paper, right? Infringe much, and the paper says that they're officers Hootie and the Blowfish. Right, and then she uses her telekinetic powers to make this guy think that they're her telepathic powers to make this guy think that they're Officer Hootie and the Blowfish. Right, cool. So she convinces this one guy to do this, but then this other guy tells somebody who wasn't telepathically manipulated, "Hey, this is Agent Hootie and the Blowfish. Go get that mutant we just got." And he's like, "All right." Like, okay, so I get the first guy because he was, they used their force powers on him, but there was no reason for that to work on the second dude. That was just dumb as hell. There's a scene where the main villain is like trying to show everybody how powerful his new abilities are. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna prove how powerful I am. I'm gonna give everybody in this room gas at 10 o'clock." This is the thing that somebody wrote. And I always say this whenever we come across really bad scenes. I'm like, if this is the scene y'all kept, what the fuck is in the trash can? You know what I'm saying?
Give them gas, like farting?
Yes. Like, everybody in the room had like gastric distress at 10 o'clock because he was trying to show them that the abilities that he had. It's just bad. It's just dumb as hell. And then there's a scene where this character, I guess his name is Skin. You know what I'm saying? He's basically the X-Men's version of Mr. Fantastic, where he goes and rescues the villain from like a mental institution. And after that, the villain, who has no powers at this time, is like, "Hey man, you know what? I decided that I'm finna capture you and you're gonna work for me now." And then they just cut to a scene of the Spanish Mr. Fantastic, fucking Mr. Fantastic. Fucking, he was just captured and just was held. This is dumb as hell. This movie's dumb as hell. It's dumb, D-. D-. This is a dumbass movie.
All right. Well, there we go. So we're not that far off with our grades.
Yeah, we're not.
It had potential. It could have been better, and it also could have been way worse. It's not.
But could it have been way worse?
Yes.
Could it have been way worse?
Yes.
Because this was pretty fucking bad.
That movie could have been way worse. Like, I think, because I think a lot of people will knock points off for the way it looks. It looks fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But if you just break down what's going on, there's some fun ideas there. I think our villain was supposed to be the Shadow King, but they couldn't figure out how to pull off the Shadow King. All they had to do was make it the Shadow King.
I thought he was supposed to be Mastermind. I think they were trying to do like a discount Mastermind.
Yeah, even if they had gone all the way in with the villain, whoever it was supposed to be, Mastermind could have been who it was also. I was thinking Shadow King would have been a cool villain for this story. Mastermind would have worked too. But they didn't go all the way. They didn't commit to it. Yeah. That's how it felt. It felt like, which is why I gave it the D+, because I could see it being at least a C if they had just gone with the villain. If they committed to the villain. I don't
actually disagree with you, and I did not not like this movie. I actually kind of enjoyed this movie. I'm a big fan of the X-Men and the X-Men culture. There's certain things that they did in this movie that I was like, the core story for what it is, I liked the basic framework of the story. Like I like the idea of it, but it was all poorly executed. And just like we said with Tyler Perry, we're not giving them credit for the attempt. Either you did it or you didn't.
Yeah. I'm not giving them credit for the attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting no credit for not doing it. Like, that's points off. Like, I think this could have been a better movie.
Oh no, it could have been a better. There's no you think it was not.
No, I think a few minor changes could have made this a better movie.
I think you need more than minor changes in this shit.
All right.
But there are a couple of facts I want to share with you guys before we move on to the next thing, because I tried to do a little bit of deep diving on all these movies when we do these things. First off, this movie takes place in the X Mansion, and this is the same exact X Mansion they use for all the X-Men movies for in perpetuity. So when you look at the first X-Men movie or you look at the last X-Men movie, when they're in the X Mansion, even in this Generation X made for TV bullshit, they were in the same X-Mansion, so that's cool. And this is just super random, just unnecessary information, but the guy who played Banshee in the movie is the same guy who did the voice of Banshee in all the X-Men animated cartoons.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to give you for this movie.
All right. Well, before we move on to the next movie that we've all seen, do we
I also want to say this real fast, because Ace Wonder was supposed to be on this episode. He's got a family member that's having some health complications, so he couldn't be with us on this episode today, but he says, I love you to death, but the X-Men story cannot save this one. I didn't enjoy this at all. Grade D.
Damn. Well, we're all in the same area.
Yeah, so we're all in the same ballpark. Mel, when you see it, and look, and I tell you guys this every episode, don't go based on our ratings. Like, you should still go see this movie anyway. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, go see the movie. If you want access to it, reach out to us. We'll figure it out. I won't say nothing else because, because assholes would fucking report us and shit. There's like just random cursing. Like there's a scene in the movie Jubilee is talking to the Mexican Mr. Fantastic, and she just they just entered her parents' dreams like Freddy Krueger, and she was like, oh man, that was such a scary experience, and he was like, man, I thought it was dope, and she was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, just out of nowhere, just dropped the F-bomb out of just nowhere. Just imagine watching the fucking episode of Power Rangers, and it's like, what? You got me fucked up. I was like, shut up, man. This is a weird movie. I don't know who they made this for. I don't know who the target audience was. This was supposed to be a pilot for a TV show that was going to be on Fox. So it just, I don't know.
Oh my god!
It's pretty definitely not good. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe Black Mirror could take it and take the entire weirdness of it and turn it into some kind of strange thing.
That would be awesome.
And Hypothesis says again, his name is Senor Fantastico.
Yes.
You know what? 10 plunger points for you. I don't have shit to write that down. I'm gonna add them while Hannibal talks about. Or we're gonna let Hannibal go first because we're gonna test the new time.
Let Mel go first. Let Mel go first. So now that we've done the first.
Continue, Hannibal.
No. This is your thing. I'm stepping on your toes right now.
But I was gonna say, before we go to the next, now that we know that a minute is way too goddamn short.
Okay.
Do you want to just do 2 minutes?
Yes.
Yes?
Answer is yes. That's the point, like the Ghostbusters saying, if somebody asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
There we go. So I'm gonna give Hypothesis his plunger points while we stop, and I have to cue this up. Hang on, Zoe's not here. I'm talking like it's on automatic, like when I have a producer sitting across from me.
Senor Fantastico. All right. So you got to do your setup first, Monty.
Yes.
The next movie came out in.
Yes, this movie came out in 2000, only 4 years after Generation X, and it was X-Men. So, and wait, before Kilo just nickel chatted, and it's gonna pop on the screen. There are 42 people watching this shit. Damn it. Yes, that means make those likes match.
Yes. Yeah. Make likes great again.
Yes. Thank you for that, nickel chat. Let's see if I can. And when it comes back, it's going to be changed and new. So now we are talking about X-Men from 2000.
Yes, this is the first of the X-Men movies, and man, I definitely cannot go first on this one. I feel like I should not go first.
All right. Well, we'll let Mel go first. We already discussed it. Mel, what are your thoughts? And then you get 2 minutes for your thoughts. So
I get 2 minutes for my thoughts.
Yeah, the minute you start talking, I'll set the timer. And the MacGyver and Mario will let you know when your time is running out, when you got 30 seconds.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to start. Now, I didn't read the comic books. I was more of the cartoon fan when it came to the X-Men. So when the film came out, they had freaking Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I was like, oh my God. And so going back and watching it again, he's perfect. He's just perfect. He is the perfect Professor X. I do, and I know we'll talk about the others that have come out. So young Patrick Stewart, that's what I'm going to call that. But older Patrick Stewart, I thought the casting was just perfect. This is where we learn about Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and kind of start our little love affair, so to speak, with him as Wolverine as the character. And I loved and this was like, because like I said, I had only been exposed to the cartoons. So seeing this put together where you have these strong characters. I absolutely loved Storm. I loved Phoenix, or Jean Grey. I mean, I've always emulated her as somebody that's just been fantastic and strong, and you kind of see that throughout. I just kind of have to say, as far as with Scott, Scott just seems like he's upset all the time. He never has a good day. Scott never has a good day. And he's always like super overprotective of Jean. And I'm like, dude, she could like scramble your brains and make them come out your nose. So it's like, you don't need to protect Jean from Wolverine. So I always thought his over freaking protection of her, this is my lady. Oh my God, Jean. Oh, it's like, honey, this almost is like you got a codependent thing going on. And so, but I thought X-Men, the film, was very strong. The characters I felt were really good. And I think it was like a good introduction to the series, particularly if you hadn't read the comics and you hadn't really watched, the cartoon. There you go.
Okay. Like, yeah, you really feel that sense of urgency when that music comes on. I was like, oh shit, I'm not.
It gives me a little bit of a panic attack because I'm like, oh my god, because then so you like hear that, oh. Yeah, I always have my fingers up, like I can get back to this level. Dang
get to the end. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I'd have to give it like I'd have to give it like an A-, but it was a good strong start. Good strong start.
All right, Scientist Mel. Hold on, I'm writing it out. Mel, A-.
Good strong start, I thought. Yeah.
And I'm seeing Benjamin Meredith gave it a B. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
I see where y'all are coming from. All right,
Yeah, everybody, if you've seen the original X-Men, movie, leave your grades in the chat. You guys know how we do our rating system. If you guys don't know, I'll copy and paste the rating system in the chat if I can, so you guys can know how it goes. But yeah, if you've seen the movies, drop a grade. Let us know on a scale of A to F. You can go at A+, F-, B+, C-. You can give pluses and minuses. Just give us an idea what you thought about the movie. So if you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, then keep your opinions to yourself.
No, you can still talk about it. Just
man, I'm tired of people giving reviews and opinions on shit they ain't never fucking seen, man. I don't care what you think. You ain't never seen it.
Fair enough. And look, we got 2 Streamlabs we haven't read yet. I'm gonna read them after and before we move on to X2. So if you got more, send them in during this, and we'll get to them. But I'll take it. I'm gonna go short. I'm gonna set the timer for myself and watch it. And here we go. So, I remember when this movie came out. I was excited for it. I have quite a few issues with a lot of things in it. I agree with Mel. I loved Patrick Stewart as fucking Xavier. In my opinion, perfect casting. You couldn't have picked a better Xavier. Much like Beast, which we'll get to later, the first Beast. And Patrick Stewart and Wolverine are the best. And Magneto, I've always kind of had issues with him, even though I enjoy the actor. I think he did a fine job as Magneto. I don't like the look of him as Magneto, but I can forgive shit like that. For me, the story felt a little like choppy and a little all over the place in a few moments. But overall, I thought the first X-Men was a decent movie. I give it credit for being what it was. Like, this movie is the reason we get to have a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was the moment that this shit started kicking off. Nobody gives this movie the credit for being that. And I think that's an important thing to it, although I don't let that affect my grade. I think there's something to be said about that, and I'm running out of time. So yeah, I just I guess I'll give this movie.
I got my control out for you.
Yeah. C plus.
Okay.
It was decent enough. It wasn't terrible. C plus.
Wow, Monty. So first off, do you see the chat right now? Do you see all these people that are like B+, B-? All of these people giving the movie B's? Well, guess what? Hannibal the Beat Animal is also giving this movie a C.
There you go.
I thought I was gonna be the person that's like, damn, I'm gonna face the most resistance on this one, and it was just like, but no, it's just okay. So you ready? Start my time. I'm ready.
Hang on.
Yes. Penultimate was like a what? A C. Oh, maybe he's saying what did you give it? He like Monty gave it a C plus. You couldn't hear me. I'm giving this movie
C plus.
A C. And look, so this movie is tough because there's things about this movie that I love. Like Hugh Jackman is fantastic as Wolverine. Patrick Stewart is fantastic. Look, the fact that you get Captain Jean-Luc Picard and Gandalf together in the same place at the same time is amazing. Though they are great.
Amazing.
They are great and they are amazing in this movie. But Halle Berry specifically, like I just thought she was just, and even not being an X-Men fan, like I don't like the way she played Storm. But besides that, She plays half the movie with an African accent, and then half like a Kenyan accent, and then half the movie she just speaks an English accent. And there's a reason for that I'm gonna get into in a second. The what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning line is terrible, not because of how it was written, but because of how she delivered it, and she chose to deliver it that way. When Toad was fighting Jean Grey, he did this little jig. What the fuck was that? She was dumb as hell. And the X-Men naming scene, like it was like they just had this great scene with Wolverine running around the X-Mansion, and then he runs into Patrick Stewart, and he's like introducing himself. Oh yeah, this is Jean Grey. You already know Jean. This is Scott. We call him Cyclops. This is so-and-so. We call him this. This is so-and-so. We call... What is that? Why does that exist? That scene is totally unnecessary, and I get why it's there, but it doesn't actually need to be there for that shit to exist. And something else that bothered the shit out of me was like Professor X was like, "Oh, I can't find. All right, I got the timer. You just turn the music down a little bit." Like no, I just because I want to be able to say, like, Professor X couldn't use his powers to track Magneto. I get that, but how was he able to not track Sabretooth and Toad and Mystique? You got Cerebro. You can find everybody on the planet, but except it doesn't work on these people. That shit is dumb. Like this movie, like there's a lot of good things about it, but there's a lot of like shitty things about it, and it's like ultimately I think they counterbalance each other to being an okay movie. This is a decent movie, and when you remove the nostalgia effect from it, and I never liked this movie. When this movie came out, I was like, this shit is trash. And when I go back and watch it, I was like, this movie isn't trash. It's mediocre. It's an average movie. It might be slightly better than average, but I think it's average. I think in the pantheon of movies, I think it falls right in the middle. It's not great. It's not terrible. You know what I'm saying? And it's anchored by some very good performances from Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, and Hugh Jackman.
There we go. All right.
Now, look, before we move on to the next thing, I got a couple X facts I got to read off to you guys, and I'll be quick about this. I love doing this research and shit. So, Patrick Stewart was the first and only choice to play Professor X in this movie. Angela Bassett initially was cast to play Storm, but when Halle Berry expressed interest in wanting to be in the movie, then Fox decided to get rid of Angela Bassett and put Halle Berry in instead because they felt like she was younger and prettier and her stock was rising because I think she had just did one of the James Bond movies. They initially was trying to cast Russell Crowe to be Wolverine, and Russell Crowe because he had just done. Just because he had just did Gladiator, and he didn't want to play another character that felt like the Gladiator character. So instead, he told them, it's like, well, look, I can't do it, but y'all should hire my friend and fellow Australian Hugh Jackman. You know, so that was how Hugh Jackman ended up getting picked.
I think Angela Bassett would have been an amazing Storm.
Oh
my God.
She is the person that was supposed to be Storm, and the fact that they got that one wrong was just.
She's an amazing actress. I mean, Halle is in her own right, but Angela would have pulled that off. Like, oh my God.
That would have been amazing.
Shortly after accepting the role of Magneto, Sir Ian McKellen got offered the role of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, which he initially had to decline. But he spoke to Bryan Singer, and Bryan Singer kind of rearranged the shooting schedule that way Sir Ian McKellen could do both movies at the same time. Bryan Singer turned this movie down 3 different times, and it wasn't until he got a chance to watch X-Men the animated series that he was like, oh, this is actually way deeper than I thought. Then he read the comics, and then that's when he decided that he would go ahead and do the live-action movie. The last thing, and for all the X-Men fans in the chat, you know, that know this, you guys probably noticed that in the movie, Rogue does not have the power to fly, and she doesn't have her superhuman strength. The reason that is that in the comics, Rogue gets her powers from absorbing them from Captain Marvel, from Carol Danvers, right? And because of the staunch fight that was going on with the ownership of the different comic book properties, Fox only owns the right to the X-Men. And because Rogue got her powers from Captain Marvel, which is not an X-Men property, she could be in the movie, but she could not have powers that she accumulated from another property. That's why in the movie, Rogue only has the ability to absorb powers and not the ability to fly or super strength.
I gotta say, I did not care for the portrayal of Rogue in that film.
Anna Paquin?
I do not like her as an actress. She comes off whiny, boring. She tries entirely too hard. I could not get through True Blood because she was in it. The fake Southern accent made me want to put my head through the wall. I just... y'all want to come down to... I'm like, oh God, stop talking.
Yeah, and actually, they said that her being in X-Men, that was the first time she ever did the Southern accent, and then she kind of copy and pasted it over to True Blood.
It's nails on a chalkboard. I mean, I didn't get into all that when I was in my minute or 2 minutes, but it's just like she is not pleasant in that film. But put that aside, and somebody said, "Did you mean Cyclops?" Yes, I felt like Scott was just such a whiny baby. But at the time that the film came out, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And so, in going back and watching it again after having seen everything else, I tried to not let this is what my expectations now are of film kind of fight what I felt when I first saw it.
Yeah.
See, when I first saw it, I thought it was like, I'm a huge X-Men fan. Me and my late baby brother. Matter of fact, my late baby brother's rap name was X-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are big X-Men fans. So when I saw how that movie was portrayed on screen, I was like, fuck. I was very disappointed at it as an X-Men fan. So when everybody else loved the movie, I was like, nah, I wasn't feeling it. It was I remember feeling like that when Spawn came out, and I remember feeling like that when X-Men came out. But going back and watching it again, I was like, no, I thought it was gonna be an F. It's not an F. It was a C. No. It's because there are parts in that movie that are very good. There's just also parts in there that's just like, oh, and the Halle Berry, what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? That line was written by Joss Whedon of Avengers fame. And when he wrote in one of the variations of one of the scripts for this movie, and they basically got rid of everything that he wrote, but they decided to keep that line. And it was supposed to be delivered like in a comical way. Like, it's supposed to be like, you don't want to know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything that gets struck by lightning. But Halle Berry made the conscious decision to read it in a serious tone, because she was like, nah, we can clip this out. Y'all can put this in a commercial. And Bryan Singer was like, nah. But and as we get into these movies, Halle Berry and Bryan Singer did not get along in the process of making these movies, because he was just like, yeah, man, this chick is trash. Like, why do we have her here? and Halle Berry was not going to come back for X3 if Bryan Singer was still going to be the director.
Oh God. Well, what's the next film? What are we going to do with the next film? I'm curious now. What's the next one?
Our next one is 3 years later.
3 years later.
Yes. Right. X2, X-Men United.
Okay.
So, since
who wants to go first?
Hannibal, you take the first round on this one. It's your turn.
I got you.
So, let's do it.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
As soon as you start, I'll start your time.
Gotcha. Okay. X2, X-Men United is a great fucking movie. This is a really, really, really good movie. And I think after Blade came out, this was, of the modern comic book movie generation, this was the first really, really good comic book movie to come out. The opening scene in the White House with Nightcrawler, flashing around and almost attacking the president. That scene is amazing. Like, the way it's shot. And this is how great that scene is. Nightcrawler is trying to kill the president of the United States. While they're walking around the White House, all the presidents they show on the walls are all presidents who were assassinated. That's how detailed this movie is. Like, it was very strategically put together. The scene where the Strike Force breaks into the X Mansion is great. Of all the ways that they love to show mutants or show superheroes and their powers, them showing the children have to defend themselves in that situation, that's the way you show people showing off their powers without having to do it as some shitty montage. Do it that way. That was real awesome. And Iceman, Iceman coming out to his parents scene is brilliant. That is one of the best scenes in any comic book movie, where he sits down with his parents and he's like, "Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm, because he's telling them that he's a mutant, but what he's really saying is that's a gay kid that's coming out to his parents for the first time. That's really what that scene is. You know what I'm saying? When you dive underneath the layers, like it is such a brilliantly put together movie, and there's some things in the background aren't awesome, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But ultimately, this movie was great. I give it a B. I'm done.
All right.
I gave it a solid B. I think it was a really, really good movie.
All right. Well, easy enough. A B. I don't disagree with that grade, and I'll just start mine and chime in, and we'll let Mel go after, and then we'll come around after.
It's supposed to be ladies first. We're doing ladies last. We're saving the best for last. That's what it is, man.
Unless Mel wants to go now.
Oh, no, go for it, man.
All right.
I'm just going to sit here playing with my Nightcrawler while I'm waiting on you guys. Because there he is. See, like, right there. He's like, what's up? Here.
Yes. Wait. Hang on.
Zangrief said, I think X2 is marginally better, but not enough to get a higher score than X. X2 is a 77 for me. It's like, say, bro, I challenge you to watch that movie again. X2 is a good fucking movie.
Yeah, X2 is phenomenal, and I'm just going to lead with, I agree with Hannibal. Same grade from me, a solid B. This was, X-Men set the stage, and X2 came in and showed us how to dance on that motherfucker. They took everything they set up in the first X-Men and made it work. Like, all the cheesiness that didn't quite work in the first X-Men was there, but they made it work. And then we got to dig into Wolverine's backstory more, which, let's not pretend that all of us did not read the X-Men comic books to see what the fuck was going on with Wolverine. We got to dig into Weapon X. We got to see Wolverine fight Lady Deathstrike, Adamantium versus Adamantium, in the fucking Weapon X facility, and he kills her with adamantium. Come the fuck on. How awesome is that?
That was a dope scene.
Yes. Like that, this movie was, of the original trilogy, my favorite. I'll just flat out.
Well, it's the best one of the three originals.
Yeah, it's the best of the three originals, and that's all I have to say. I didn't even hit a minute 30 on it. That's all I got to say. B+, or B, not B+. B.
All right, Scientist Mel, my favorite scientist. And that's like, yes, Neil deGrasse. Bill Nye, but no, you were top of the food chain.
But you know why Mel is always Team Monty? Because not only is she my favorite scientist, she is also my favorite Mel.
Yeah.
So,
but you know what? Scientist Mel is my favorite DJ. So.
Oh shit! All right.
Yep.
All right.
I'll throw my thing down, flip it, and reverse it.
Tripping man.
Is it worth it? Let me work. I get my sonic screwdriver out and we twerk it. Right?
and she's got the Nightcrawler toy in the front, and it's the what's his name? Peter. What's the guy? Andy Cumming.
Alan Cumming.
Alan Cumming. That's the Alan Cumming.
Really nice. I mean, it's like an actual jacket, and he got his pants on. It's really cool. I mean,
we didn't talk about how great Alan Cumming was as Nightcrawler.
Yes.
Like how do you talk about that movie and not talk about how great he is? That is fucking awesome.
Amazing character actor. He does so many different types of characters, and that's particularly important, especially when you're dealing with the X-Men series. Mm-hmm. You need not only strong leads, but you need character actors that are excellent, like Alan Cumming. I mean, who is he has the ability to put on lots of different faces, which is kind of what you need. You need a very versatile actors, and that's what character actors are. So that's why Alan Cumming is particularly fantastic as Nightcrawler. He's been the freaking, wasn't he the Tin Man on the sci-fi episode of The Wizard of Oz? A sci-fi film. Yeah. So I mean, He's been the freaking Tin Man. He's been Nightcrawler. So he's amazing. All right. So X-Men 2. I freaking loved this film. I loved it a lot. I loved the scenes. I thought it was smart. I love the characters. I liked more of with the work with Mystique. We got to see a bit more of what she can do, and she was able to stretch her legs a bit. I feel like Rebecca Romaine has been always given the short end of the straw when it comes to that character, because just never had her talk that much. And I thought that's pretty crappy. It's pretty freaking crappy that they did that to her. They just used her as kind of like a thing as a character, objectifying her in her body and stuff. Like, well, she's hot. We're going to throw this blue stuff on her and never let her speak. She's a good actress. So I was really happy to see more of that in this film, especially when it got to she gets Magneto out and he goes, oh, what is that? I sense a little too much iron in your blood. I'm like, oh, like it's just like, and he gets through, and it's just, I loved it. I loved everything about this, and we get to see a bit more of Jeannie doing stuff, with Jean Grey. Again, she's my favorite X-Men for so many reasons. She's super freaking strong. She's smart. She's respected by her peers. And I was mentioning Scott earlier. Scott is Cyclops. He's still codependent as hell. He's like, his whole world is Jean. I'm like, dude. Yeah. Dude.
Yep.
Get a hobby. Something. It's like, Jeannie. Like, now Jean gonna be all right, honey. She gonna be all right. You go eat your teddy bear, chocolate, whatever you gotta do. But I loved everything. I agree with everything y'all said with Wolverine, seeing his fight with, Deathstrike. I'm going to give it like a flat A, because I can watch that film and love it every single time. I just, I love it. I do. Characters, all that, fantastic. Culmination coming together. And it does lead nicely into the film that we skip and pretend didn't exist, which is the third one.
which we'll be talking about momentarily. Yes. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm looking at you guys' grades right now. Ace wanted to call Alan Cumming man e-faces, which is a great way to describe him.
I was gonna respond to that also. You should have put man G faces.
No, he should not. He don't even encourage that foolishness. All right, you French asshole. All right, we don't need that. we don't need that in our lives. Kilo says he's playing heroes and generals while watching, and he gave X2 a B+. Yeah, that's about right.
I see a lot of B+ coming through.
Yeah, I see. Penultimate gave it a B+. Shayla gave it a B+. Pete McCurdy, shout out to Pete, fantastic producer. Also drop your Instagram in the chats. I want to make sure I promote that, because you fine. Yes. I want people to know that. He said X2 is a great movie. He also gave it a B+. Ace Wonder gave it a B. He says X2 was dope. My only complaint is that it felt a little long. The movie felt like it could have been connected to Days of Future Past, which is a great thing. He gave it a B. That was, I felt at a certain point it felt a little long. But and we didn't talk about, oh God, I don't know his name, so just bear with me while I do this. X2 United.
Look, while you do that, I'm going to read these two Streamlabs that came in. They were both from Hypothesis. The first one was, with Paul Heyman now in charge of Raw and Eric Bischoff in charge of SmackDown, which brand would be Team Hannibal and which one would be Team Monty?
Oh, that's easy. Shit. Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Monty would be the Eric Bischoff team, and Hannibal would be the Paul Heyman team. Easy. That was because I'm a big stupid ECW fan, because I like shit that's kind of raw. You know what I'm saying? And your shit's more polished. WCW was the more polished brand. ECW was that raw shit.
Okay. All right. I'll agree with you. I'll accept that. that. And then his other one was, by the way, if Cable is supposed to be Cyclops and Jean's kid, does anyone else think Cyclops had a Chad older brother with... Wait, who's the real dad? I'm sorry, the Streamlabs cuts words off in weird places, so I have to stop and go, wait, is that O's? WHO's the real dad. So yeah. Shit.
And I've actually kind of been waiting for the X-Men franchise to start because like Scott and Jean. Well, let me do this. Like Cyclops got a bunch of kids out here in these streets. Okay, he out here just fucking everybody raw. His pullout game is trash. All right, and Scott got a bunch of kids. Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor, living in all these goddamn different timelines and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I've really been waiting for the X-Men franchise to kind of dive into that. And now that Disney has bought the X-Men properties from Fox, which just as a sidebar, everything you guys might hate about the X-Men movies, you hate about those movies because of Fox. Fox very specifically, like after doing the research, is the reason that these movies weren't as great as they could have been, right? Like the more and I'll get more into that later on. You know what I'm saying? It's just Fox specifically is the reason. And matter of fact, as we get into X3, I'll really get a chance to talk about how terrible that shit is. A couple facts about X2. Oh, we didn't take a chance, and I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't do this. But how great was Brian Cox as William Stryker?
Yes.
Oh God.
Fucking phenomenal.
Yes. Of all the actors they've cast to play William Stryker in these movies, is he not the best William Stryker of all the William Strykers?
Oh my God, yes. He's a proper ass.
Yeah.
I mean, and he looks it and he emotes it. And he just drips evil and awfulness, even when he's sitting there and he tries to hide it. You're like, no, he got the stank on him.
Yeah, he said so. In years ago, I think it was 1978, 1977. They made before they made Silence of the Lambs. The first Hannibal Lecter movie they made was called Manhunter, and in that movie, Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter in that movie, and he said that he basically wanted to play that version of Hannibal Lecter as William Stryker. He says, what would happen if that version of Hannibal Lecter had a government budget to do whatever he wanted to do? And that was how he played that character.
Oh God.
Yeah. That's pretty badass. So shout out to Brian Cox. He's the truth. He's one of the best typecast bad guy actors in Hollywood. So if you ever need a bad guy, then he's the guy to do. Yes, Benjamin Meredith, we are talking about Brian motherfucking Cox. That dude is just fantastic. He's such a good bad guy. All right.
Not Professor Brian Cox, who's on the Human Universe and a physicist in Manchester.
Right.
I crush on him quite a bit.
So in X-Men, all right, so a couple things. When this movie came out, Wizard Magazine had this movie as one of the top comic book movies of all time. Alan Cumming, while working on this movie, hated working with Bryan Singer, and he constantly cited Bryan Singer's lack of professionalism.
We're hearing lots of things about Bryan Singer, though, just as an aside.
Yeah, and
there's sexual issues.
Oh yeah, the sexual assault allegations, the pedophile allegations, and all of these things ended up kind of fucking up some of the latter movies. But we'll get to that in a bit. What else? Neil Patrick Harris initially auditioned to be Nightcrawler, and the only reason he lost to Alan Cumming is because Alan Cumming could speak fluent German.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
This movie was also supposed to have Gambit, Beast, and Angel, as well as Toad and Sabretooth reprising their roles from the previous film. And it was supposed to be a Danger Room sequence and the Sentinels, and then this happened in both movies. This happened in the first X-Men movie and the second X-Men movie. The executive that was over that was overseeing the production of these films was at war with Bryan Singer. So in the first movie, while they were filming the movie, he just took $25 million out of Bryan Singer's budget. Right? The movie came out, it did well. Then they gave Bryan Singer even more money to do this movie. So he started working on this movie. He wanted it to be very true to the comics. And as he was working on the movie, like he kind of was talking shit to the executive about how well the previous movie had done. So this same Fox exec pulled that $25 million from him again, and that was the reason that he had to cut Gambit, Beast, Angel, as well as Sabretooth and Toad out of this movie, and the Danger Room sequence. There's the scene in one of the later X-Men movies. Well, I'll get to that later. So there's a lot of internal shit that kind of fucked this shit up. The script went through massive rewrites, and after Halle Berry won the Oscar for Monsters Ball, she kind of strong on them into making Storm have more lines in the movie. Sir Ian McKellen helped work with the screenwriters to make the Drake, the Iceman talking to his parents scene feel like a gay child coming out to his parents. That's why that scene played out that way. The reason Stan Lee isn't in the vast majority of the X-Men movies, a lot of people speculate, the reason Stan Lee isn't in these movies is because those movies are trash. That's not true, because he's in X-Men Last Stand. So why would he be in the worst one of the bunch and not be in all the rest of them? Stan Lee says when Fox would make those movies, they never asked him to be in them, and that's why he's not in any of the movies. And after this movie was done, they were only supposed to do 2 X-Men movies. After this movie was done and Marvel had started their own production company, they reached out to Hugh Jackman to play Punisher in the Punisher movie. And he turned it down so he could do Van Helsing instead.
Oh my God. I would have rather seen Hugh Jackman as the Punisher, if I'm honest. But Tom Jane did all right. He did all right.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't the reason. And also in that movie, because if I don't know how well you guys remember that Punisher movie, but in addition to Hugh Jackman supposedly being, he was supposed to be Frank Castle, they also cast Rebecca Romijn, who's also in that movie, and the actor that played Iceman is also in that movie.
They have a lot of just those characters. But I will say, as a segue on the Punisher film, I love the heck out of the Punisher series on Netflix. I would really like to see that.
Yes.
In a film.
Hang on. Can we just stop for a second and comment that Mel just said she loves the heck out of something? I love the fuck out of that.
Yeah, I love how you fucking didn't fucking curse in that. That was fucking awesome. That was some fucking great.
I cursed a little bit on this show.
A little bit.
I have, If I say heck, I really mean it.
I know. Well, gosh darn it to heck anyway.
But if I'm gonna kind of swear, I'm gonna do it in a more Deadpool style, instead say poop spackled fart muppets. That's all of poop spackled fart muppets.
And I assume when you're sitting in front of your set, because you're a science educator, you're doing your thing. You want kids to watch your shit. Like you get in that setting and you're like, this is where your mindset, this is where your language goes. I get it. I just had to take my Avengers Age of Ultron moment. That was like Cap with language.
I got to give Penultima another plunger point. He says, "Little shit is now tiny doo." Great. That is fucking great. That's great. That's good shit.
Yes. I'm the voice of little shit. It's kind of hard. I didn't even try to cover it up, so I was just like, here you go. Here it is. But on my Oral Audacity show, I don't swear so much, but Doc does, so I just let him. I'm like, okay. And I put in the description there's sweary language in case any of my other viewers hop onto that. I'm just like, we swear here and a lot. So he's a Scotsman. What are you gonna do? I'm not gonna hold that creativity back. It's a glorious thing to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let him do his thing. That's awesome.
So funny. God. Crying laughter with that man. Oh my God.
Yes. So I guess let's move on to the next one. So I'll do a little setup for it. So something happened between 2003 and 2006. I'm sure Hannibal have these details for us.
Oh yeah, I got the details.
Between 2003 and 2006, we get X-Men: The Last Stand.
Yes, I actually was in Toronto at the Toronto Anime Con, and that's where I saw this movie. And I was just like, and then this is the issue with the X-Men franchise. You get like an okay movie, and then you get like a really good movie, and then you get some trash. And it's like they never get the consistency in their films in order to get shit going. All right, get ready to start my time. I'm going first on this one. Or do you want to go first?
It doesn't matter. Mel, did you have anything you wanted to tackle on this? Or that you want to do first, or do you care about the order is what I'm asking?
Yeah, it does not bother me. Order is not important.
Okay. All right.
She's all about chaos, no order. I like it, man.
Yeah, entropy. Let the entropy ensue.
Also, shout out to Mr. Shittles in the live chat. We don't usually get you in the live chat. We usually get you in post. Well, every now and then you'll be on the live chat. So that's dope.
Yes. And Mr. Shittles says, I like the phrase deuce bagel fart muffin. I'm going to start using that, as well as heck and heck. You know what, Mr. Shittles? I'm giving you 5 plunger points for each of those.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Thanks for showing Mel some support.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers. Cam girl for science, isn't it?
I don't know. I feel like Mel, you go first on this one. Because I was going to go first on X3, but let Mel go first.
Yeah, let's let Mel have it.
Oh, God.
Wait, what order did we go in last time? I went first for X2, and then Monty, and then Mel.
Yeah.
It's
Mel now.
Okay, all right, so Mel, you go first.
All right. Oh, God. X-Men Last Stand. This is like Highlander 2. We just pretend this movie didn't happen. So it's just... It's so it's so disordered and mixed up and wishy-washy, and it's just all over the place. You can't get a good solid read on the plot. I'm upset about that because, again, I love Jean Grey, and they just completely just destroyed everything they could have done with that character. And Famke Janssen is an amazing actress. I really loved. I love her presence. She, and I know we'll get to the Dark Phoenix here in a bit. I think a lot, and I have some comments on that versus, they're like, well, it's completely different. Well, yes. But I like the fact she did look well put together. But, she still had the internal struggle. And I felt like we couldn't see everything that she was capable of. But at the same time, we didn't see that full struggle. I mean, she just was full on, she entered the, what I call the no fucks left to give bubble pretty rapidly. And I thought, she just went from, oh, okay, I'm having problems to full on, let's destroy everything and kill the world. And I'm like, I don't understand why that happened. And why she would jump ship so quickly. So there were just massive plot holes. I felt like things weren't quite connected so well. It's just I'm so sick of this portrayal that you have to murder a woman who is doing something and you have to feel bad for her murderer. And why must it always be this act of love, which to me kind of reinforces a lot of the problems we have with domestic violence. So it's like, well, I loved her so much I had to kill her. Why? What are you doing? And that's a Hollywood problem. That's not particularly, you know what I mean? That is a Hollywood problem, but it just reinforces all that crap. And I just hated it. I'm like, I gotta kill you, Gene. I'm sorry. Just, you know what? I'm gonna drop an F-bomb. Fuck that.
What was your grade? What's your grade, Mel? I'm curious.
I'm gonna say like, oh God, like I can't watch that film. I just have to say either I'm torn between a D- or an F because I can't watch it. Probably D- D- on that, man.
Okay.
I just cannot get through that film, and I have check out of it in portions, and if I check out of a film and I get on my phone, which I did with the latest Godzilla, I'm like, I don't want to take a nap. So it's like, I'm like, I just started live tweeting how much I hated Godzilla. And I'm like, but my phone was in dark mode and it was like pretty empty theater and it was like recliner. So if I'm like zoning out of a film regularly, and it's a chore to get through. I'm just like, no. I'm gonna say D-.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
D- for Mel.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Monty or Hannibal? How does this go? What's the order?
I don't know. I'll go. I'll start it with me. I'll start with what I absolutely fucking loved about this movie. The opening sequence. That danger room scene was badass. That was amazing as fuck. That scene was fucking incredible. And then the rest of the movie happened. In the rest of the movie, I didn't think was like it's bad, but it was my issues with it, and I agree with Mel at the end. The ending, like the way they stopped Phoenix, was dumb. Because I've always said it, and I was hoping that maybe I was being too critical when I watched it the first time. They combined too many different plots and didn't realize the amazing story that they had actually put together and didn't know how to deliver on it.
Yep.
When you introduce a character that is the mutant cure and Phoenix is this unstoppable problem, there is no fucking reason for Wolverine to have to kill her. When you have a character like Angel that can just fly in, who you also introduced, who can easily swoop in and grab the cure, because I think there was something with an immunity with him or something. I don't remember. But I don't. But even if it wasn't him, all that fucking kid had to do was walk up to Jean Grey and go, "Hey, what's up?" Now our villain stopped. The cure could have stopped the Phoenix. There was, and I'm running out of time. I didn't have time to click the thing, so because I was talking. But I gave this movie a D. So garbage, or it's not complete garbage. There was potential there. Not enough to give it a higher grade, but I see what you're trying to do, and there was a lot of stuff that was good, but just not good enough to save it. D. There we go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I also gave this movie a D, and I was torn between D+, D, and D-. And I'm still torn between a D and a D+. I'm not gonna give it a D-. And the funny thing is, had I not watched Generation X today, I probably would have given it a D-. But I watched Generation X today, and I was like, no, that movie's a D-. So I'm on the fence about D+. All right, so whenever I do these rants, I like to start off with, like, there's certain things that's Antonovich.
Yes.
Hey, turn up.
Oh my God.
Thanks for that, Antonovich.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Fuck, man. So, okay, like, I could talk about, like, the things that I liked about this movie, but honestly, there's so many things. Like, whenever I'm watching a movie, there's certain scenes that happen where it's so bad, I feel like you got to throw this whole scene in the trash, that the movie falls a letter grade, or at least a half a letter grade. So if it was an A, it goes to an A-, or if it was B+, it goes to a B. And this movie just kept having those scenes. Like Monty loves the danger room scene, and I think the way that scene was shot and edited was beautiful. But its context, well, all right, I'm not even going to get into that scene right now. I'm going to just skip past that. Cyclops' off-screen murder is trash. Why did that happen? I'll get into that in a second. Then let's talk about the very, very bad writing in this movie. There's a scene where Professor X is talking to Storm. They're walking down the hallway, and they're talking about the changing temperament in the United States. And Professor X looks at Storm and says, well, you of all people know how fast the weather can change.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You know, Magneto is like the whole movie. They're like, man, we got to control Jean. That bitch is crazy. We got to control Jean. That bitch is crazy. We got to control Jean. That bitch is crazy. Then she goes crazy. Magneto, Ian McKellen looks at the camera and his British Royal Company actor face, and he says, "What have I done?" It's like, what do you mean? What have you done? You did the thing that they've been telling you about this entire movie. You know what I'm saying? and then let's not talk about, don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Like, that happened. That's a thing that takes place in that movie. But right before that shit happened in the movie, there's a scene where Kitty Pryde, played by Juno Award-nominated actress Ellen Page, looks at him and says, "Come at me, dickhead." Like, this is Brett Ratner at his worst. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Angel's dad getting thrown out of a fucking window, and an angel out of nowhere just happens to be in that area to happen to save his dad, to teach him a lesson about why mutants should be treated as equals and shit. You know, the power levels that they inexplicably just dropped on us in this movie. It's like, oh, this person's a category 3. Oh, this person's a category 4. How the fuck are you gonna just drop that shit on us in the third movie out of nowhere? This movie's not good. This is not a good movie, all right? And there's lots of blame to go around on this movie. It is not good. Best thing for me is the music. I think the music is good. I think that's the only thing they got right. And I think everything else, they fucked it up.
All right. Well, there we go. X-Men Last Stand. Like, we're all so far pretty much in agreement on all these. This is...
Yeah. I'm not. What's the chat saying right now? What are you guys saying about this movie?
Yeah.
Somebody gave it a G-, a D+.
Wait.
Zylabug gave it a G-. Zangrief said G-, agreed. Skill said D+.
Yeah.
Is it Pobleto? F+. Benjamin, D-. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. This is not a good movie. This is not a good movie.
No.
And I know people always say, like, yeah, there's levels to this shit. Like, what's the levels to this shit? No, this is not a good movie. And it took a while for them to make this movie not good. Like, I have so many notes about why this movie is awful that I don't have the time to tell you guys everything about this. So let me just roundtable this real fast. Because I want to get into these X facts, but Monty, Scientist Mel, and everybody in the chat, if there was one thing that could have been changed or done differently, what do you think they could have done? Like, one thing in particular that could have made this movie better?
I think completely removing Phoenix, like not using Phoenix in this movie.
Okay, they just focus on just the mutant cure.
If this movie had focused on just the mutant cure, this could have been a great X-Men movie, because they forced it. They rushed us into a Dark Phoenix movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's my problem with the 2 times they've done it, and like whenever they try to do it outside of a comic book, because Phoenix, there was Phoenix before Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, like she wasn't automatically evil.
That is necessary.
Yeah, that is a very necessary part of the story.
Yeah, so stop just jumping to Dark Phoenix. But yeah.
Okay, Scientist Mel, what say you? What could have been? And everybody in the chat, you guys too, everybody that saw this movie, like if there's one thing that could have made this movie better, what could have been? Zangrief says, set fire to the film studio that housed the gullet. Pete also says not as many storylines.
Yeah, I agree with that. If they had just focused, since the primary thing was about the cure and the registration and all of this stuff, that was a good, strong storyline by itself. Trying to force the Phoenix line and that sort of thing. She deserved her own film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she deserved her own film about the stuff going on with her. And they were, I mean, much like how we see sometimes in the DC universe, where they try to, what they wanted to do with like Batman versus Superman. We got to throw everything together really fast and catch up with Disney and Marvel, the Marvel series over there. They try to force storylines and make complicated characters fit in a small box. Well, we got to hurry up and get this out of the way so we can make this other bigger film. Justice League put me to sleep like twice. And I'm like, so, but it's like when they I agree with Monty. Pick a storyline and just do that one.
Yeah.
You know, it was just too much pish posh, is unorganized type of storytelling when you have all of these other things going on. It felt I guess it felt like a D&D game where there are just too many side quests and nobody knows what they're doing on a Saturday. I guess that's kind of like what it is. You know, you have all these people doing side quests and you're sitting there and you're like, we haven't got to me yet. So it's like, so I would say go with just pick a story and stick with that one. Whether it's Phoenix, just make it all about Phoenix. Whether it's The Cure, make it all about The Cure. Whether it's about all the government stuff, make it all about that. Not throwing everything to. It's lazy. To me, that's just lazy.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
Oh, and Zangrief asked the question. He says, "What is worse, X3 or Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire?" That is. You know what? That's a question that we definitely we could do a whole episode on that right there. Because matter of fact, we can go ahead and throw Superman Returns and a couple other movies in there to try to figure out which one is what's the worst big budget comic book movie and what's the worst low budget comic book movie. Yeah, because I definitely see where it is. Yeah, I'm on the same page with Monty on this one. I think the biggest mistake they made with this, so the biggest mistake they made was that Fox got way too involved and they tried to rush the production of this. They should have picked one story. The Phoenix storyline is not something you can tell in one movie. Like if the X-Men was a TV show, you could dedicate a whole season to the Phoenix saga. You know what I'm saying? You could dedicate a whole season just to the Phoenix, just the regular Phoenix, not even the Dark Phoenix saga. You could do one season that was just the Phoenix and then do the following season with the Dark Phoenix. Yeah. That's how intricate that story is. And you can't jam it all into a 2-hour movie. Mm-hmm. So that's where they fuck up. So there are some fantastic facts about this movie that I want to get into. And I'm going to try to be quick with this, but this stuff really gives you the context for why this movie was awful. Couple things that I want to do the small facts first. Kelsey Grammer wanted to play Beast so much that he did an audition. Kelsey Grammer does not do auditions. He's like, but he was like, look, I really want to be Beast because he was a huge fan of the Hank McCoy character. So he was like, yeah, this is the first time that he auditioned for anything in 20 years. Halle Berry decided initially not to reprise her role as Storm for this movie, citing lack of character development in the previous 2 installments and her tense relationship with Bryan Singer. However, after Bryan Singer's departure and the major box office flop that was Catwoman, Halle Berry agreed to return on the condition that her role was expanded. And, I'll give credit where credit is due. I liked the extra Storm in this movie. I never thought I would say that, but I enjoyed the extra bits of Halle Berry in this movie. She's not the reason this movie sucked balls, but this movie did suck balls. Yeah. The Golden Gate Bridge sequence where Magneto flies the Golden Gate Bridge to Riker's what is it, Alcatraz? Was it Alcatraz?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
When he flies the Golden Gate, so that was supposed to be the final scene of the. I mean, that wasn't supposed to be the final scene of the movie. That was supposed to happen right in the end of the movie. Before it became the Phoenix Saga, the movie was supposed to just be about the mutant cure. That was the original script for the movie, and the original script called for Magneto, like the cure was going to be held out at the Pentagon, and Magneto was going to fly the Brooklyn Bridge to the Pentagon so that way he could rescue Mystique, and that's where she was going to be, and he was also going to have access to the cure, and so it was like now he didn't saved his number one soldier. Thank you, Answer. Oh, that's messed up. I think you know what? If most women would be so lucky to look like Halle Berry when they're 50. All right.
Oh my God, yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Like
That's true.
Halle Berry and Jennifer Lopez, them motherfuckers are fucking vampires or I don't know what their secret is. I mean, money for sure, but there's something that they're doing, all right? Because like you look at Halle Berry now, you look at her in like fucking in like the 80s, it's like, bitch, you look the same. You look exactly the same. Like, is it your diet? Did you stop eating meat? Did you eat more meat? Like, what is it? I don't understand. Tell me your secret.
Are you bathing in the blood of virgins?
Is that what it is? Virgin blood? You know what I'm saying?
Virgin blood, dancing out in the moon with candles. What you doing, man? Calling on the spirits?
But you know what made
I lost any attraction I had to Halle Berry when she was Catwoman, though. So
that's yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Halle Berry actually said
she
said in an interview recently that people come up to her all the time and tell her how much they love Catwoman. Say, "Oh my God, I love Catwoman. People say it's trash, but I think that movie is great." Oh, Antonovich says with makeup she looks all right. He says take that shit off. She look rough. See, I've never seen Halle Berry with no makeup on. I need somebody to hit Halle Berry with a bucket of water first.
Well, I mean, if she's magical, she might just melt. I don't know.
Well, this is true. If she's witched, you know what I'm saying? Also, as a sidebar, when they wrote Wizard of Oz, that was just a shitty plot device for it's like, oh yeah, how we kill this witch? A tiny amount of water. So
you know that was the whole Signs ending. You know what I mean?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Just like, oh yeah, just all you need is a tiny amount of water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On a planet that is completely covered by water. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like these motherfuckers tried to. It wasn't like these motherfuckers tried to take over Vegas. You know what I'm saying?
I've never made that connection between Wizard of Oz and Signs. M. Night, Wizard of Oz, Signs.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the twist. That's the twist.
God.
So
they are actually in Kansas.
Yeah, and they oh wow. See, oh shit. Scientist Mel just fucked me up just now. I didn't even correlate that until just now. Brent Ratner also fought for the "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch" line to be added to the movie. And I want to talk about what a piece of shit Brett Ratner is in a second, but I want to just real quick talk about why this movie was terrible. And I have a lot of notes about this, and I'm not going to read all the notes because there's so much, and I want to get on to the next movie because I really enjoyed the next movie.
Yes, and jet lag is a son of a bitch. I just got to put that out there.
Gotcha. Monty's fading. I got it.
Yeah, he's hanging on the edge.
All right, so this is basically what happened. So they did the first X-Men movie, and the whole time there's this executive at Fox that's bumping heads with Bryan Singer. He's not let Bryan Singer make the type of movie that he wants to make. The movie comes out. It does very well at the box office, despite the... So in the first movie, that executive at Fox was like, he felt like they were about to catch a big L on that movie. So he took the $25 million from the movie while they were filming. And Bryan Singer had to make all these last minute adjustments. Like they were actually 3 weeks into filming the movie with no actor being cast as Wolverine. That's how serious it was when they did the first X-Men movie. But the movie came out, did very well. So then Fox gave Bryan Singer an even bigger budget to do the second movie. So as he's doing the movie, he's kind of talking shit to that executive behind the scenes. Like, yeah, motherfucker, you thought I was going to fail. But guess what? We kicking ass. We did gangbusters. So then that same exec pulled $25 million from Bryan Singer again, thus forcing him to rewrite the movie and do a bunch of changes and shit. But ultimately, X2 came out and made even more money than the first X-Men movie. People loved it. The critics loved it. It did great at the box office. Boom. So now Fox has decided to do a third X-Men movie. But that executive at Fox refused to re-sign Bryan Singer because he was like, fuck this dude. I fucking hate him. He's a piece of shit. He's always talking shit to me, and I don't like him, and fuck him. So Bryan Singer, while he was sitting on his hands, got approached by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers was like, yo, we love what you're doing with the X-Men movies. Can you do that with the Superman movies? Because we want to do a new Superman movie. So Bryan Singer agreed to do the Superman movie. When that exec at Fox found out, he used that as the platform to fire Bryan Singer. Fire, remove, whatever you want to call it, right? So boom, now they don't have a director. And then Fox went on this mad dash to hire a director. And I'll get back to the mad dash in a second, right? Because that shit is bananas. But what ends up happening when Bryan Singer left, he was like, well, fuck y'all. I'm taking the cinematographer. I'm taking the composers. I'm taking the key grips. I'm taking this person. He took damn near everybody with him that made the other X-Men movies and some of the screenwriters with him to go do Superman Returns, including James Marsden, who played Cyclops in the X-Men movies. The executive at Fox was so pissed off at James Marsden because he felt like James Marsden had betrayed his trust that he made them kill Cyclops off screen. It was a fuck you to James Marsden. How dare you go be in that other property movie? Okay, your allegiance is supposed to be the us. So they kill Cyclops off screen and only have the characters talk about it. That's why Cyclops died off screen. It was all internal politics.
All right.
Yeah, this shit's ridiculous. When they eventually, they went through a bunch of different directors. Darren Aronofsky got offered this shit. He said no. Alex Proyas, who did iRobot, he said no. Peter Berg got offered this shit. Matthew Vaughn got hired to do the shit. And he started working on the movie for a while, but Fox was dead set on, they were hiring directors in June or July of 2005, telling them that the movie had to be done and out by Memorial Day 2006. Matthew Vaughn was like, it's not possible. We can't make that movie that fast. And after they went through all these directors, they landed on Brett Ratner because Brett Ratner had success in rush producing a film. You know what the film series was that he rush produced? Rush Hour. That was why Rush Hour was called Rush Hour, because he only had 9 months to do the filming and principal photography, and he got it done like that, and the movie did gangbusters. That's how Brett Ratner got the fucking job, you know? Wow. And they were literally writing the movie there were days on set where they had to film and there was no script in place.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was like Fox did a lot to fuck up this movie. It was bananas, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of blame to go around in why that movie was terrible. And when we get to the solo Wolverine movies, I can tell you how Hugh Jackman is a large part of the reason that Wolverine Origins was fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But that's for another episode. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, and real quick about Brett Ratner being a piece of shit, because, you know, I used to feel like he was solely the reason this movie was terrible. But as I did research, he's not completely the reason this movie is terrible. He's a lot of the reason. Well, he's a part of the reason, but he's not the whole reason. The reason I say Brett Ratner is a piece of shit, I came across this one particular story from Ellen Page, who played Kitty Pryde. She played Shadowcat. In that movie, she was 18 years old. In when they filmed that movie, she was around 18 years old, and she had told Bryan Singer that she was gay, but she was not publicly out that she was gay. While they were doing a meet and greet for the cast and crew of X-Men, there was this gay woman in line, you know, that was in like her late 30s, early 40s, and she was like, oh my God, she's the biggest fan. And I guess Brett Ratner presumed this woman was gay. And he says in front of everybody at this meet and greet, he says, hey, Ellen, you ought to fuck that chick so she can see how gay she really is. Yeah. That's a real thing that he did.
Wow.
Yeah. I see what you did there, Mike. I see what you did there. Yeah. Listen, I got you. I'm done.
Oh my goodness.
Wait,
I'm baiting.
Oh, I'm baiting. All right.
Yes.
Wait, I didn't hear that. And Antonovich said something about our audio settings being off for some reason. I don't know what's up with that. Let's see, because I didn't hear all of that. But I will check into the audio, Antonovich, also.
Yes.
Oh, audio track, my friends. That's what he said. I don't know what's going on. I didn't hear it.
He was letting us know that that when the Streamlabs audio comes on, it cuts off all the rest of the audio for the stream. So basically, every time we get a Streamlabs, they can't hear us anymore. They only hear the Streamlabs.
All right. Well, I will adjust that at a different time. Like when I'm setting up the next show, I'll play around with that. Thank y'all.
Yeah. Brett Ratner outed that chick at a press junket. And she was like, yeah, it was like he was already difficult to work with. And then that happened. And she was like, yeah, it was awful. You know, she's out now. But at that time when she was 18 years old, she was not out. And Brett Ratner did that shit to her.
That sucks, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, Brett Ratner's a piece of shit. I mean, I've never been a fan of his. I enjoyed the first Rush. I enjoyed the first 2 Rush Hour movies, you know, but just by and large, I'm just not a fan of him just as a human being. I'm not crazy about him as a director. Well, you know what? I guess that's not fair because I enjoyed, what was it? The Last Dragon, the first Silence of the Lambs movie, the Silence prequel. So, you know, I guess I can't say that, you know. But fuck that dude. You know what I'm saying? I was always mad at him for what he did to the X-Men movie. So, fuck him.
All right, there we go.
Cool.
Well, let's move on to 2011 and X-Men First Class.
X-Men First Class. What order are we going? Whoever went last goes first. Is that how we do this?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Whoever can go. I need to sync up the timer again. There we go.
Kilo says, I would beat the fuck out of that motherfucker or at least try. Yeah, definitely. That's some bullshit.
Yes.
I could have made that a fair foul, but, you know, it's just foul. I'm just going to say it's foul. This is fucked up.
Yeah, and Antonovich says, can't hear anything when it's playing now. All right. So I'm curious, is it whenever any of the other audio's playing, or let me know specifically. Is it the Streamlabs or the speed up music? Let me know which one it is so that I can make adjustments. So
you can just tell me, hey, Hannibal, you got 30 seconds. I'm like, shit. I know the gimmick is lost, but still it works.
But yeah, that's something I'll fix later. I'm just trying to get it all working. This should work. But yeah, I'll go first. So First Class, when it came out, I was confused as fuck about what was going on, what they were trying to do. I didn't know if this was part of part of the other 3 we were seeing, or if this was just a reboot. And honestly, I think it was both. But didn't matter after I saw it. I walked out thinking that was probably the best X-Men movie I had seen at that point. And then upon rewatching, I agree with Past Me. Of the 5 X-Men movies we've talked about so far, this to me is the best of those 5.
Ooh.
I enjoyed everything about this movie. I thought it was super well done. Really great idea. Really great place to start setting up X-Men. And I'll just end with that. And I gave this movie a B+.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Okay, Monty. Out of curiosity, what stops you from giving it a higher grade?
I thought it was. I'm not that big on origin stories.
Okay.
Like that's. I mean, there are origin stories that are A+. I don't think this was an A or A+ origin story. It was an origin story, but it was a damn good origin story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
how you want to do this? Mel, you want to go or you want me to go?
You can go. I can finish after y'all. Go for it.
Got it. Okay. there's a joke in there somewhere. I don't know if I can make it right now. There's a joke in there somewhere. So, X-Men First Class, I'm not going to need a lot of real estate on this one. X-Men First Class is amazing. I think James McAvoy, like that, I could literally do a whole, like if we had an opposite segment that was the opposite of What's Eating Hannibal, I could do a What Hannibal Loves about this movie. Like, I love how they set up the juxtaposition of Professor Xavier, Charles Xavier, and Eric Lyncher. Like how they show, Professor X was this young, rich kid that's privileged that grew up in a mansion. And then you got fucking Magneto, who's in fucking Holocaust Germany. You know what I'm saying? And you show how, like, you know, when Professor X was young, you know, when he was young, he was out here like flirting with girls and using his powers to do this, and that. And on the other side, you got Magneto, who's just like, yeah, I'm going around killing these Nazis. Like Professor X's privilege is part of the reason that he feels like humanity deserves a second chance. And Magneto's painful upbringing is the reason that he's like, fuck you sons of bitches, we're superior, and I kill every goddamn one of y'all that believes otherwise. And the way they show that juxtaposition and the way it's acted out with James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, their on-screen relationship is fantastic. And for them to have to follow Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen, and then they do it, and they did it effectively. Kevin Bacon is a fantastic villain. And I'm not talking about how he played Sebastian Shaw, the comic book character. I'm just talking about the villain he was in that movie was brilliant. I think the scene where Magneto is having the beers with the Germans, and it's like, oh, so you guys are from Germany, huh? It's like, oh yeah, I used to be a pig farm, I used to be this, and he goes crazy and kills those people. That scene is amazing. That movie, just the way it plays out, is fantastic. X-Men First Class might be one of my favorite origin story movies of all time. I give it an A-.
Perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm a fan. Like that movie for a very long time was one of my 10 favorite comic book movies of all time.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. Fair enough. I can't be mad at the grade. I think it's,
you know, and I didn't even talk about how great Azazel was in that movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Well, Mel, it comes down to you now.
Okay. All right. So X-Men First Class. I was really excited of the return of the series, and I thought, okay, this is gonna be kind of cool to see like young Professor X and young Magneto and see how that's going. I really like the fact that they used the same scene from the first film that we see in X-Men at the very beginning where he's pulling on the gates. That's the exact same scene from the first film. I thought, oh, that's nice. Yeah. That's so nice. Yes. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really cool. I thought Michael Fassbender was a very good Magneto. I thought he kind of captured a bit of that a little bit of the struggle that he goes through. Because I mean, being a Holocaust survivor, oh my God. And having that evil thrust upon you in order to get you to get your powers come out. So it makes a lot of sense that he would go towards a darker avenue because of the fact that that's what got him to get his powers to go. So I really liked seeing a bit of that. James McAvoy as a young Professor X, you know, it's kind of hot. You know, it's like there's like a little GIF image floating around where James McAvoy is pretending to be Professor X, is like, bam, pregnant. And I'm like, that's accurate there. I really enjoyed the steady develop where we see the friendship between Magneto and Professor X early on, and you kind of see the struggles of the dynamics of that, because to me, I really enjoy that also about the other X-Men films. Seeing the introduction of young Mystique, you know, when she's a child, and the brother-sister relationship developing there between the professor and her, and how, you know, the unrequited love thing, you know, and it kind of feeds into the whole Magneto side. I really enjoyed the interpersonal connections between the characters that you kind of see form and develop early on. I thought it was great. So, you know, it's hard to watch that film with eyes as never having seen the others, you know. And so when you're seeing this, you're seeing all of these things that are very nostalgic from the previous films. But it really takes like the first and second film, and they just kind of bring it in and carry along with that storyline, saying, okay, now we're gonna go back to the roots and kind of show you how we got to that point, which I thought was cool. I'll give it a solid A-. I really, really enjoyed it. I liked seeing that strong, and I felt it really started strong on those early relationships that are so integral and important to the X-Men character. So I really enjoyed that.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
So
I'm all about stories most of the times.
yeah, we're all clustered together with grades again. It was I think we just went straight down the line in order with grades, but
I actually, Monty, I thought you were gonna have a higher grade than the B plus. I'm actually a little surprised.
No, B plus.
So and there's a couple things about this movie that are fantastic, like the scene where like Matthew Vaughn is really a fantastic director. He also directed the Kingsman movies.
Oh God, love those films. I love those.
Benjamin Meredith gave it a B minus. All right, you got to let me know why I got a B minus instead of a higher grade. I'm curious to know why it landed at a B minus. Because, well, I'm get to the cuz in a second. I'm just curious. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just curious. The scene where Magneto is learning how to use where we see Michael Fassbender as an adult, and he's controlling the coin that Kevin Bacon made him. He's like, hey, if you can't use your powers, then I'm gonna kill your mom. So what the fuck you want to do? And that scene, like, let's just talk about that scene for a second. You got Kevin Bacon sitting in the office with young Eric Lyncher. And the camera's facing him, and he's talking to Eric he's like, hey man, look, I see you got this power, bro, and I'm trying to help you use it, and I just want to make you better. And then they show the cameras on Kevin Bacon, and then the camera cuts to showing the kid, and it's just showing the kid, right? Then it cuts back to just showing Kevin Bacon, then it cuts back to showing the kid, and then the camera shows a side shot, and you see the fucking torture room in the background. It's like, and you're reminded instantly, oh yeah, this is a Nazi internment camp. You know what I'm saying? And and then they show like the old, like Michael Fassbender as an adult, and he has that coin, and he sees a picture of Kevin Bacon on the wall, and he uses the coin like almost as a dart, and it lands right in Kevin's forehead.
Yeah,
right?
that was a hell of a way to go too, man.
And then at the end of the movie, that was how he killed him. He used that coin and he pushed it through his head. And what's great about that end scene where like I said, if you guys haven't seen this movie in a while, I really challenge you to go rewatch X-Men First Class. It is a great fucking movie. Like the scene where like Professor X is trying to help Magneto find Sebastian Shaw. And then he finds Sebastian Shaw. And then he can sense that Magneto is about to kill him. And as he senses Magneto killing him, and we see the coin being slowly forced into Sebastian Shaw's brain and come out the back of his head, we see a side-by-side shot of Professor X, screaming because he can sense the pain of his friend losing the last of his humanity in that moment, right?
See, and I felt that was an extremely powerful moment, because that's when it's, even though they were always rivals and on completely opposite sides when it came to humans and humanity, it's like Eric and Xavier still cared about each other. They were still friends, and they were like, we have this massive freaking problem, but it's like, Xavier's always still like, he's my friend, and this is painful for him because he can feel it. And I wonder, Magneto didn't, he always wore the helmet to keep Charles Xavier out of his mind, but I wonder if that was also a mercy for Charles, for him to not feel what it was that Eric was constantly going through.
That is possible. Monty, out of curiosity, what stops the movie from getting a higher grade for you? Because I'd be lying if I said that there aren't a few things in this movie that kind of rub me the wrong way. Like the scene I actually like the least is the scene where all the kids is the scene where I love Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique so much because she existed as the bridge between Professor X and Magneto. Professor X was like I believe in humans and they're groovy and we can live amongst them and shit like that. And Magneto was like, man, fuck them niggas. I don't give a fuck about these humans. They ain't shit. And we watch her change we watch her be the bridge between Professor X's hope and Magneto's angst. So at the end of the movie, when she's like mutant pride, she's not saying it in the Martin Luther King, I have a dream way. She's saying it in that hateful, I'll fuck these motherfuckers up. We need to arm up. You know what I'm saying? But the scene where she gives everybody their nicknames, like, oh, your name is this, and your name is this. I was like, oh, it makes my skin crawl. Even now watching this shit, it's just fucking. Mm-hmm. So Monty, what stops you from giving it a higher grade?
It's probably more of a pacing thing for me. I think, and I'm not saying the pacing was off. I don't think anything was off about it. I think the movie is what it is. This is the movie that it should have been. But I think for me, better pacing would have given it a higher grade if things seemed more deliberate as we move forward. There were moments where I was like, all right, how much longer to this? I always count that against the movie, where I'm like, how much longer? All right.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I'm a fan. I believe in that. It was either Roger. I think it was Roger Ebert said, "A good movie always feels too short. A bad movie always feels too long."
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, I think the movie itself, I think it's a damn good movie. I can't say anything bad about it, but it didn't quite hit the A territory for me.
Yeah, Penultimate said Darwin got a raw deal. Yeah, and just for the record, if I watched these X-Men movies from the perspective of a fan of the X-Men comics, then I would really hate all these movies.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, with when you look at a lot of the Star Trek films, or you look at other things, people you have to almost see them as like fan fiction. And if you can go into it as like a fan fiction type of scenario, this is somebody else's interpretation of characters we like. Now, somebody mentioned like not Man of Steel, but the Superman Returns. Man, I thought that film was hot garbage. I absolutely hated everything. I hated Man of Steel. I hated Superman Returns. I didn't even watch Batman vs Superman. I watched the Wonder Woman scene on YouTube because I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, no, forget this. And then I sat through Justice League and fell asleep twice. So it's like, we have our things, and it's just I'm very Christopher Reeves Blue Boy Scout, and it's very hard for me to go into a Superman film like that and do the fan fiction. This is fan fiction. This is me. So that doesn't always work. So I completely get that. Yeah. All right. Well,
unfortunately, I don't have any production notes for this movie. The only thing I can say is the guy who played Azazel in this movie was actually Matthew Vaughn's first choice to play Beast, and but due to scheduling conflicts, he couldn't do it. So when Matthew Vaughn got signed on to do X-Men First Class, he hired that same guy to play Azazel. And just shout out to Azazel, because the teleportation and him using his ability to just teleport people up the sky and just drop them is fucking awesome. That's just a bad way to kill people. It's just like, damn, I never thought about that. Nightcrawler, why haven't you done that more often? All right, just drop people out the fucking sky. What's the next movie?
All right, next movie is 3 years later, and that brings us to if I can cue it up.
Future Past.
Yep, Days of Future Past.
I'm going last. I called it.
All right. You want to take this one, Mel?
Sure. I adore this film. I absolutely adore this film, if for nothing else than the Quicksilver scene in the kitchen. Quicksilver, just the character alone makes this film an utter joy for me. Just everything that he does, And so I found it pretty interesting, especially when they hint that Quicksilver might have been actually Magneto's kid. They throw that out there. It's like, yeah, my mom dated a guy that kind of could do those things there. But I just that one scene where they rescue Magneto from the Pentagon. And then there's so much nostalgia there where they're like, yeah, we're broadcasting on all 5 channels. And they're like, oh, all 5. Okay. And it's Sanford and Son going on across the Pentagon. I'm like, this is amazing. They're like, what the heck is this? And so then Quicksilver goes in and, he manages to get Magneto. And then that one little slow motion scene, I felt that was utterly brilliant because from like a sciencey type of perspective, it would be interesting to see, when somebody's moving that fast and they're able to do all that fast, sometimes our brains can't wrap around. How are they able to do that? So to slow it down and have the person going in like real time and everybody else is ridiculously slowed, I felt was such a treat in that film because we see it and then they continue to use it. I absolutely love that. That one scene for me just kills it every time. But and I also kind of like the fact that we start to see Professor X not able to quite deal with his own powers. And so he uses, a form of drug addiction in order to cope with what's going on in his mind. So I really kind of like that because we see him vulnerable. And Professor X does make some pretty horrible decisions sometimes, and he's still, that's still part of his humanity. So I really appreciated that, and I thought that was cool. And I'd give that one an A-. I love it. I can watch that over and over again and enjoy it every single time.
All right. Awesome.
Monty, what say you, sir?
Well, let me restart my clock and get this queued back up. There we go. Wait. Yeah, wrong movie. There's a right movie. Yeah, this, for me, Days of Future Past made every other X-Men movie worth it. To me, this, and I'll just say it in context with the entire list, this is the best X-Men movie, in my opinion. Like, in my opinion, this movie was the absolute best X-Men movie.
That's not an opinion.
Yeah, the pacing issues I talked about in First Class, not there. I sat and I actually watched this a couple times in preparation for this episode, and the second time I watched it, I was trying to edit the clips that I have, which is why I ended up back here, because I forgot that I was editing the first time, the second time I watched it, and ended up watching the movie again. That's how fucking good this movie is. From beginning to end, I just loved everything about it. I love the not only the story they told, but I also love the fan service, like giving us characters like Blink.
Yes.
At the very beginning of this movie.
And Sunspot and Warpath.
Yeah. It's fucking awesome. Like, well done. Hats off to X-Men First Class. A. Or not First Class, Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
A. Sorry.
I got you. So yeah, I figured I would have the unpopular opinion on this one. So let me say this first. When I was let me say this first, Monty, before you start my time. All right, let me say this first before you start my time. When I had to say this. It's like when I was young, okay, and I was reading comic books, the X-Men Days of Future Past storyline is my favorite comic book storyline ever written. I'm not saying it's the best. It was my absolute favorite comic book storyline ever. I fucking love that storyline. And I actually fell in love with it for all the wrong reasons. I fell in love with it because of Bishop. Because Bishop was like the first like black character, like he wasn't the first black character, because I was like, you had Storm, you had Black Panther and Luke Cage and people like that. But like, he was like the first black dude in the X-Men universe. You know what I mean? So it really spoke to me. And then that story was just like, Oh yeah, like so as a fan of that comic, seeing this movie, I should have hated this movie. That is not the case. Start my time, Monty.
All right, wait. Before I start your time, I just want to let Mel and the shitheads know Hannibal just cheated his way into 20 seconds of extra time. Team Monty. Because I started the timer to see how much time you were going to take.
I just wanted to say, when I was young, this was my favorite storyline, and I'm not saying it's the best because you got the Hellfire Club stories, the House of M stories. There's lots of great X-Men stories, but like Days of Future Past, Dark Phoenix is a fantastic story, which is part of the reason people are so agitated right now. But we'll get to that in a second. Look, for me, this isn't going to take too long.
Wait, starting now?
Yeah, starting now.
All right, then I'm going to be clear. 36 seconds is his new thing. So.
you French black bastard, you. Damn it.
Team Monty. That's all. Yeah,
he's just that smart ass Candle from Beauty and the Beast, just talking shit.
Here we go.
X-Men Days of Future Past is the best X-Men movie that was ever created. Point blank. Like, not including Logan, X-Men Days of Future Past is the best X-Men movie ever made. Period. Point blank. If you say anything otherwise, you are wrong. This movie is amazing. There is no wasted space or time in this movie. Every scene, every line of dialogue, every effect exists with purpose. There are so many fantastic performances in this movie. Michael Fassbender as Magneto, like, so the merging of the old and the new. Like, the movie starts off with the Nimrod Sentinels murdering all the X-Men, and they're not just killing the X-Men, they're killing them in the most brutal ways. Like, these motherfuckers like crushed Iceman's head. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers stabbed Blink in the chest. Like, they were just like these unrelenting, like, give no fucks Terminators that were just destroying absolutely everything in their past. In their paths. The scene where Mystique is walking through the airport and Professor X is projecting his mind into all the different people trying to have a conversation with her. I can't even imagine what it took for them to write that shit in the screenplay and then have a bunch of actors act that shit out. That shit is amazing. Peter Dinklage is fantastic. Fassbender is fantastic. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, like, we kind of see them towards the end of their lives being like, look, we used to be enemies, but at the end of the day, a common enemy has brought us together and realized that we were fighting against each other for the wrong things. And on the opposite side, you have James McAvoy as the heroin addicted, Professor X. I mean, it's not heroin, you know what I'm saying? And then you see Michael Fassbender kind of being like, you know what? Like, he's still fucking up and making bad decisions that are recklessly affecting the future. There's no wasted space in this movie. The best thing about this movie is that this movie, when they do the last act of the movie, they throw Wolverine away. You know what I'm saying? And they have the last act of the movie basically without him being relevant to the movie. And the movie still worked. There is no wasted space in the movie. That Quicksilver scene is one of the greatest of all time. I've been stingy with these shits ever since we've been doing the show. I'm giving this movie an A+. This movie is fantastic. And the fact that it wiped away all the other movies so they could start fresh is amazing.
Yeah.
A+. A+. This I think I'm giving this movie an A+. I felt like when we were gonna do this X-Men episode, there was a probability I was gonna give this movie an A+. And I didn't know if I was gonna do it, and I rewatched it and I was like, oh no, this movie is amazing.
It really is.
It's fucking, there's not a wasted minute of screen time in this film.
Yes.
I agree with that. It's just, you could probably spend a whole episode just talking about all of the dynamics and stuff in that film.
There's so much just awesomeness in this movie that is just like, and then you know what else is a great scene that we didn't talk about, and this is the last thing I say so we can get on to Apocalypse. The scene where Mystique is playing the Filipino general, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
And then he starts fighting everybody in the room, and then he slowly turns into Mystique. Yeah. Watch that scene again. the special effects on that scene are flawless. Like usually when they show the Mystique change, it's kind of clunky and it's not smooth. That transition in the special effects is flawless. Like they killed that. Shit is amazing. That movie is fantastic. And if you haven't
Look, we were trying not to go live when DP was live, but
yeah,
it's been 2 weeks since the shit show, and
oh goodness, yeah.
yeah. So sorry about that. This is a rare thing. Like, we're hoping to catch people on the second viewing on the replay.
This movie this movie is definitely one of my 10 favorite comic book movies of all time. Like, and as much as people shit on the X-Men movies, 3 of their franchise films are in my 10 favorite films of all time. 10 favorite comic book films of all time. And that's this movie, Deadpool, and Logan. Mm-hmm. You know, those 3 movies are on my 10 favorite comic book movies of all time list. Though, like they are just some fantastic. And it's amazing. And this is a great transition, Monty, because it's amazing that Bryan Singer did so incredibly well with this movie, and then the follow-up movie was X-Men Apocalypse.
Yep, 2016.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't start playing. Hang on. There it is. Now it's playing.
and everybody who saw the movie, and I'm just going through the grades. Shayla gave it an A-. Penultimate gave it a B+. Ben Meredith gave it a C+. I definitely would like to know why you gave it a C+. And look, I mean, the Days of Future Past is one of those movies that people either love or hate. You know, because I think people that really like the original X-Men movies hated that this movie basically made all those other movies irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know, so I get that. But I am curious to know. I can go first on Apocalypse because I ain't got a lot to say.
All right.
Sure.
Scientist Mel says, "I don't believe you. You need more people."
I'm gonna roll this D20 right here, and I'm gonna tell. And it's gonna be my prediction. How long you're gonna take?
Yeah.
12. I got 12.
You got 12. All right.
All right.
Whatever that is. Give me 12 minutes, 12 seconds, 12 hours.
Let's see what happens.
I'm still torn on my grading for this movie, but I know the range that I want to be in for it. You know, like torn between giving it a B- and a C+. Because there's a lot of stuff about this movie that rubs me the wrong way, and there's a lot of stuff about this movie that they got right, and it makes me like, for instance, the scene with Magneto where he's trying to lay low after all the events of Days of Future Past. He just family, right? He's working in this factory in fucking Dusseldorf, right? And then he sees a friend of his is about to get crushed, and he temporarily uses his power to save somebody's life. You see Magneto regaining his humanity, and then the townspeople accidentally kill his wife and daughter, and Magneto just in an instant falls back into that painful cycle, and then becomes a bad guy again. That scene is amazing. The Quicksilver scene, even though it is rehashed from the previous film, the scene where he saves everybody from the exploding X-Mansion, that's a great fucking scene. That scene is beautiful the way it's put together. But then you have the scene where Apocalypse turns Angel into Archangel. And there's this rock music playing in the background, and I know what they were going for, but it just didn't work for me. Like the intro to the movie where it shows Apocalypse in Egypt and he's transferring his body, and then the fucking slaves decide that they're gonna revolt and shit. That whole scene looks trash to me. Like all of it. Like I thought it was trash when I saw it in the theater, and when I rewatched it, I was like, I don't like the way this looks. But I don't think Oscar Isaac did a bad job as Apocalypse. I don't think he was the right person to play Apocalypse. So I'm torn because there's things that's good about this movie, and there's things about this movie that isn't great. So like the Wolverine scene feels completely forced, but I like the new guy that plays Nightcrawler. And then you got they try to give us the relationship between Jean the Cyclops. I don't know. It's like there's a lot of stuff about this movie that's really good, and there's a lot of stuff that's not. So I'm in the B- C+ range right now. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it for a second. And no. I'm gonna give this a B-. I'm giving this a B-.
All right.
Because I think it was almost. It had the potential to be good, and they made some mistakes. And the soft reveal at the end of the movie of the Essex Corp to try to give us the idea for Mr. Sinister and then do nothing with that information. I don't know. I'm giving it a B-.
All right.
Meredith gave it a C. He said good stuff mixed in with the average. Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, Mel, do you want to take it or do you want me to go next? All right.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'll go for it. Okay, so with this particular film, I agree about. I still love Quicksilver, but that's not enough to carry the film. I thought the apocalypse line was all right. It was pretty cool. But I just didn't buy into it. I couldn't commit to it. I couldn't buy into it. I just thought this feels like a really, really sad Thanos. Like, and I know
which is unfortunate. That's unfortunate too.
Yeah. So I'm just like, this feels like a really sad Thanos that, is it, and he's just, and at the end, he's like, I finally understand everything. I'm like, okay, I don't care. So, I just couldn't care at all about the introduction of that particular character. I thought the other characters were pretty interesting. I'm kind of with you guys on in the chat on that. There are really, really cool aspects of the film, but there's really, really just, it's like, I don't know. I don't really care to ever watch it again. I guess I can. It's not something that I thoroughly enjoyed heavily. I'm like, I could watch it or I could not. It's not inherently a bad film. It's not bad like the third X-Men film. It's not like, can we pretend it never happened? It's just like, I wasn't particularly excited about it. I felt like they could have, it was like they were leading up to something and then they're just like, yeah, here. And I'm like, you were making this going to be like this giant cake that would be delicious and wonderful, and you just gave me like a chocodile. I just kind of felt like they were like building up to something really cool, and I'm like, here's Magneto. That's all he's doing. I thought, he moved a stadium once.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
It's all right. No problem. So it's just, I give it a C. I could, or I couldn't. I'm just kind of.
All right.
Kind of meh,
All right.
It had nice moments, and they could have done more with it. I felt like they were like building up, and it just kind of like, give me the cake, and the cake is a lie.
Nice. I see what you did there. All right.
Benjamin Meredith. I asked for the Dazzler cake. Give him a bunch of points.
There we go. Benjamin Meredith. Got you covered. All right. Well, I'll take the last one. I agree with a lot of what both of you said. I personally enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. Like, I really did. I love this movie.
Really?
Yes. But that being said, is it a great movie? Absolutely not. Is it a bad movie? No. But I thoroughly enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. And yes, I agree with all the problems. Apocalypse looked terrible. He looked stupid as shit. But I think the opening scene was good. I disagree with Mel there. But
that was me that said that.
Oh, that was you. I thought that was Mel. Then I disagree with you, Hannibal. All right.
So nothing new there.
Yeah. So I was shocked that I was disagreeing with Mel. So that the world is back in balance. All right.
How much time you got left, Monty?
Look, any longer, I might be sleeping. But anyway, I'm wasting my time. So, yeah, there's a lot of things wrong. But I also agree that like the scenes with him setting up the Four Horsemen, dumb as shit. And sum it all up, I ended up giving the movie a C+, because not great, not terrible, but it's above average, I think. So
I got
that's
you.
where
You know what the funny thing is? While you were talking, I actually changed my B- to a C+. So that's amazing that you did that. Oh, Andy DeWitt's getting out of here, everybody. He says, great show as always. Have a great night. Everybody tell Andy bye. Have a good night, Andy.
Yes. Thanks, Andy. You're awesome.
Yeah. So I wanna do a quick round table with everybody, and I want to do this with everybody in the chat too that saw this movie. Now, Monty, and Scientist Mel, I'm not sure about. Did you guys? I know Monty didn't see this in theaters. You didn't see this until we had to do this movie challenge, right, Monty?
Yeah.
What about you, Mel? When did you see this movie for the first time?
It was in the theater.
Okay, so you saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so did I. So, all right, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna throw out a couple things about this movie, okay? Like, and I'm doing this for everybody in the live chat. Well, I want everybody that's seen this movie to participate, okay? I'm gonna name something from this movie, and I want you to tell me if you thought it was great, or if you liked it, if you didn't like it, or if you thought it was okay, or if it was just meh. All right? I'm gonna just name something from the movie, and you tell me that I liked it, I didn't like it, it was meh. Like it was just a forgettable thing that happened. All right. It's almost fucked up. I'm gonna start with this. Apocalypse's costume design.
Terrible.
Oh, I hated it. It was horrible. Yeah. Even the makeup. If you watch it on HD, it looks like somebody put plastic on his face and painted it down. It's just horrible.
Okay. All right.
Like
yeah.
HD on my TV, I'm like, you got a little something there. Let me peel it off. I wanted to peel off half his face because it looked like it was just like, I was like, what is this?
Okay. All right. Okay. What did you think about Archangel, I guess I should say, dying in a plane crash at the end of the movie? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it just eh?
Yeah. I just kind of hated it because I'm like, he can fly. So why is he still on the plane?
Well, he can't fly inside a plane. He can't fly in the cockpit.
But he could have gotten out the plane. I mean, I like kind of. This is just a dumb way for somebody who can fly to go to die in a plane.
Okay. Okay. All right. The next scene. Wolverine going crazy in the Stryker facility. Like it, hate it, meh.
Fucking badass. That scene was awesome.
I thought it was awesome too. I agree with that.
Yeah.
That
okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Jean Grey becoming the Phoenix at the end of the movie. Like it, hate it, meh.
Meh.
It is kind of meh. It just, I don't know. It felt like they were trying too hard, and you're like, okay.
We should actually use that one as the setup for the next movie because I got some shit to say about that leading into that. I'm about to start my fucking time.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so the next movie, Monty, which is the final of the X-Men movies, and is the last X-Men movie made by Fox.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, and that whole shit at the end of Apocalypse and then seeing Phoenix just fucking pisses me off. Like they spent all this goddamn time making these movies to retcon the shitty things they did, and let's be fair with it. People keep talking about how the X-Men movies suck. Last Stand sucks. Like even y'all in the chat that keep saying the X-Men movies suck, because I've seen y'all are in agreement with a lot of these, especially that Last Stand is terrible. That is the point where they course corrected and fixed all this shit only to get to Apocalypse, do this Phoenix teaser, and that's not even how the fuck she becomes the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Why do all that work to establish a continuity and then drop your pants and take a shit on it and rub your dick all over it?
Tell them how you feel, Monty.
Because that is what the fuck they did between Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. And then when we get to Dark Phoenix, I can see people complaining about it. It was not a terrible movie, but it was not a good movie. It's just like anything with the fucking Phoenix. It's rushed. How do we jump straight the fuck into the Phoenix? Like, I don't believe it. I never believe it when I see this happen. Whenever I see a character just WWE style heel flip, because that's what the Phoenix is every time it happens. It's a WWE heel flip. And it, with any character, I don't care about what they did in the comics. You can do something different. I don't believe a heel flip. I don't believe now I'm bad. No, I'm out. I'm out. Dark Phoenix, C+. So,
okay.
Go.
This is interesting, Monty. Okay. All right. I didn't know where you were going with this. I was curious. Okay. Mel, you want to go? You want me to go? You want to close it out or you want me to close it out?
I will close it out since I'm the redhead.
There we go.
All right.
I'll get all Phoenix on you. How about that?
There we go.
I got you. So it's weird for me because like I went into this movie expecting to hate it because I had heard all this negative press about it, and I did not hate this movie. Like, so this is where like this movie suffers for two reasons, and I'm getting to the post-production stuff because I think you got to kind of know. Like, so this movie is fucked up, and not as much because of Fox, but more because of Disney. Like, Disney kind of is part of the reason this movie ended up sucking. Or not sucking, but it is the reason that the movie wasn't as great as it could have been. But the movie suffers in one specific place. Like, if you disregard the Phoenix storyline and the Phoenix lore, and I know that's tough because this is obviously a Phoenix movie, but if you don't look at any of the stuff that we know about what the Phoenix is supposed to be, the problem that the movie suffers from is that in all the X-Men movies up until this point, they've made it where we give a shit about certain characters. We give a shit about Wolverine. We give a shit about Professor X. We give a shit about Magneto. We give a shit about Silhouette. Who we don't give a shit about is Cyclops and Jean Grey. You know, because you haven't given these characters enough time to be the people that they are. You know what I'm saying? They never gave us a chance to know them. So they gave us like 10 or 15 minutes in this movie for us to see them be in love and bat their eyelashes at each other. And that's not enough time. People didn't establish an emotional connection to these characters. We've been paying attention to Professor X and Magneto this whole time and Wolverine. We haven't been and every other character in these movies has been completely insular. They've been just, they've all just been background characters. So that's where this movie suffers, is that we weren't given enough time to fall in love with these people and give a shit about who they were or who they weren't. I actually enjoyed this movie. I specifically like the train fighting scene at the end of the movie. But I'm torn on my grade, but I'm more in that B- C+ range. And I'm torn about where it should land because I only saw it the one time in the theater. So I'm going to have to think about it.
Wait. Oh.
That was
nope.
it.
Nobody. Oh, all right. It caught you at the end. All right. I was like,
that was it. Because I'm torn about this. And there's some production note stuff I'm gonna share in a second. But yeah, I'm torn. But I'm in that B- C+ range. I felt the same way about Apocalypse. I'm in that B- C+ range.
Yeah. All right. Mel, it comes down to you.
All right. So I'd seen all of the horrible this is crap film. It's the worst X-Men film ever. Clearly, that's not the case.
No, that's not true.
It's not, and it's a bit harsh. I felt like a lot of that early criticism is because of the fact just about every female comic book film that comes out automatically has that level of vitriol thrown at it on every single type. I mean, Captain Marvel example. Wonder Woman, there was a lot of initial stuff there. Both turned out to be fantastic films, in my opinion. I still cry at the No Man's Land scene in Wonder Woman every single freaking time, man. I'm like, that's every woman right there, man, taking the fire. Anyway, that's another. We already did that. So, Dark Phoenix. I enjoyed this film for lots of reasons. Yeah, you have to kind of put the apocalypse film out of your mind, which wasn't hard for me to do. Like, okay, whatever. And then I go into the Dark Phoenix. I liked the fact, and this was something that I experienced with other people around me who are also female or girls, women as well. And we're sitting there watching this. One person I was with had to leave the theater because it was becoming very real with the anxiety that in the almost PTSD type of stuff that Jean was going through as the scaffolding of her mind was degrading, and she was having to deal with a lot of traumatic events all at once. That kind of hit me. That hit me pretty hard because in somebody I was with, I don't think people realize, and I liked that aspect of it, is that we saw her having to deal with trauma from things that she was never allowed to understand and grow from. We see the fact that Professor X absolutely screwed up when it came to Jean, and how he, even though he meant well, he was not allowing her to experience what she needed to in order to grow from it and heal and cope. And that was clearly what she needed. So, you know, somebody actually left the theater because it just was triggering a lot of their own type of trauma stuff that was related to it. So I felt that was kind of pretty strong and powerful. And, you know, and I think a lot of people may not have latched on to that. This was a film about a woman who is trying to come into her own, understand what was going on in her mind. And yeah, I agree. It was rushed. It was way too rushed. They tried to package it into a short period of time. But I did appreciate that aspect to it. I loved the fight sequences. I loved the train sequence. I loved all of that at the end where she's finally like, okay. And she honestly, I feel like she probably needed more time to deal with some of the crap that was going on in her head. But, you know, but I did overall enjoy that and how she was able to kind of come into her own. And she did it on her own. And because she wanted to, you know, for no other reason. So I think I'd probably give it a B-. I mean, I did enjoy it. It was a bit rushed. And I'm able to like kind of take, okay, Apocalypse just is over there. I'm just going to see it as its own film. And if you do that, I think that helps. But.
And see, this is where I'm torn because I can't tell if this is almost a good movie or if this is almost a really good movie. Mm-hmm. And this is where I was torn with this with Apocalypse because for me, Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix are on the same footing. I enjoyed Phoenix more, but I feel like whatever grade I give one, I got to give them both because I feel like they're right in that same range. And it's tough for me because it's like I just don't know. Like I said, I've only seen the movie once, so I'm going based off of the one time that I saw it. Just going to the comments, Mr. Shittle says, I've seen every one of these except Dark Phoenix, and I generally enjoy them, and some of them I enjoyed a lot. I have no idea which movie is which, generally speaking. Yeah, let's see. Shayla gave it a B-. Penultimate gave it a flat C. Let's see. Why do they always skip all the Shi'ar Empire stuff? Yeah, that was another thing about that movie that was just weird because as a comic book fan, knowing how Jean gets the power of the Phoenix, right? In Apocalypse, you establish that she's had this power in her the whole time. But then in Dark Phoenix, you talk about like the alien entity in space. You know what I'm saying? And it's like pick a storyline. Like, do you want it to be this or do you want it to be that? I don't care which one it is. Just pick. You know what I'm saying? It's like you gave me spaghetti and tacos. It's like, I don't care which one we eat. Just pick one. You know what I'm saying? Although, as a sidebar, hey, babe, let's eat spaghetti and tacos tonight. So it's just.
Or you can have taco flavored spaghetti. I'm just saying. Yes.
That's, well, you know what? I'm not going to knock it till Monty makes it. So wait and see.
There we go.
Penultimate says, with the line that Mystique says about it seems that the ladies do all the saving 2 moments after Nightcrawler literally teleported the entire NASA crew through the vacuum of space made me laugh. Yeah, they and that was also
that line was forced. That was a forced line.
There was like a we need to create a girl power moment here.
That was no man's land line. Like the no man's land line was natural.
Oh, that one was
that
was beast mode. That was like when that World War II sequence and Wonder Woman is like, oh, no man can get there. I ain't no man. I fuck y'all. And then she goes out there and kicks ass.
Yeah,
that is badass. You know
yes, Crimson, the X-Men cartoon did do it best.
Yes,
even though they pushed a little fast, but they gave us some Phoenix first.
Yeah, so it's like I said, man, I'm torn on this movie. Like I feel like I need to see it again. I'm definitely, like I said, I can't tell if the movie is almost good or almost really good. Monty thinks it's almost a good movie. Mel thinks it's almost a really good movie. So how do you differentiate between the two? I'll give you guys a couple set design things just that might be interesting for everybody to know. Jennifer Lawrence, while filming these movies, hated all the time she had to do makeup to be the Mystique character, and she is essentially decided that they were going to kill her character off in this movie. She's like, I don't want to wear this fucking makeup no more, so kill my character off. So she kind of just demanded it, and they had to like write that into the movie. And I haven't seen any of the trailers for the movie, but I've been told that in the trailers for the movie, they tell you or they show Mystique get murdered in the trailers. I don't know why anybody would do that. What would be the point of it? Also, Simon Kinberg, the guy who wrote and directed this movie, was also one of the principal writers for X-Men 3 Last Stand. They felt like when he did that movie, so X-Men Apocalypse was plagued with problems essentially because of all the Bryan Singer allegations that came out while they were making that movie. Fox didn't want to have those same issues, so they ended up hiring Simon Kinberg because they felt like the original script that he wrote for X-Men 3 that didn't essentially get used was a very good script, and they wanted to give him an opportunity to do that script in this movie. And while Simon Kinberg was working on this movie, while they were filming this movie, Fox got bought out by Disney. So imagine you go to work one day and your boss is gone. Everybody that you know is gone, and now there's a whole new team of bosses and executives over there, and they sit down and watch the movie, and they're like, yeah, the ending to this movie is real simple. So the ending of this movie was supposed to be this giant space battle, and part of it was supposed to be Jean and the Phoenix kind of losing her shit in space, right? Not to the point where she was going to wipe out civilizations, but it was supposed to be this giant space battle. Disney was like, yeah, that ending is way too similar to the ending of the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. You got to change it. Simon Kinberg was forced, and that's part of the reason they had to do all these reshoots. Simon Kinberg, they had to write a whole new ending for the movie, and that's the ending that we got. And his little fuck you to Disney was the train fighting scene. And on the train fighting scene, you have the X-Men on one side, who are the characters you've all known and loved, next to the Mutant Liberation Front, the Brotherhood of Mutants, and they're being attacked by these space aliens, right? But who's holding those people hostage? Like, what's the name of the unit that's holding the X-Men and the Brotherhood hostage? They're called the Mutant Containment Unit, or the MCU. That was his way of showing, that was his way of trying to tell the audience, this is the bullshit that Disney is making me have to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the cops, the officers that are restraining all the mutants that can't tell the good, that can't tell the difference between the good mutants that are trying to save them and the bad mutants that are trying to kill them. It's like, all you fuckers look the same to us. You know what I'm saying? That he made them the MCU. You know what I'm saying? Nice. The Marvel Containment Unit. He wanted everybody to know that it wasn't his fault that this movie was what it was. It might have been his fault that the movie was what it was. I don't know. Like, I love that train fighting scene. I don't give a shit about Scott and Jean's relationship. I actually was not a fan of the scene where Mystique dies, not because she died, but because, well, first they kill her right in the first 40 minutes of the movie. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then just the way that scene plays out is basically like Sophie Turner being held up by strings. She just, all right, stay real still, and we're gonna be like, this is your mutant power. It just, I don't know. It was just, I didn't like it. And then, like, I love Jessica Chastain. Jessica Chastain can do no wrong in my book. I like her better as a redhead. But Jessica Chastain can do no wrong in my book. I like that they wanted to introduce these aliens, but I don't know why they introduced these aliens at this juncture of the movie. Like, you got Jean losing her shit right now. There was no reason for them to be in this movie. Like, there's just a lot of stuff about this movie I don't quite get. Like I said, I can't tell if this was almost a good movie.
I think the introduction of the aliens was giving Jean an opportunity to relinquish a lot of the power she absorbed. So she had to make a choice. Do I keep this power? Do I give it to them so I don't have to suffer all this crap anymore?
How'd you guys feel about the ending with Eric and Professor X, sitting at the restaurant? Basically, the ending to the last Batman movie, the ending to Dark Knight Rises, but instead of it being Alfred, instead of it being Bruce and Catwoman, is Professor X and Magneto with the Phoenix in the sky. How'd you guys feel about that ending? Liked it, hated, what?
I was fine with it.
Yeah, I was all right with it. I didn't think it was awful. I thought, it's kind of cool.
How'd you guys feel about this being a send-off to the X-Men? This is the final of the X-Men movies. How'd you guys feel about this being the last X-Men movie?
They should have stopped at Days of Future Past, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I would agree with that. I'm hoping Disney does something better with Jean Grey. I'm really hoping they do something with her.
Yeah, if they bring the X-Men into the MCU, we will finally see a well-done Phoenix story.
Will we get a recut of Civil War?
No.
With a better battle scene?
I
with all the X-Men there. I mean, like the recut of Civil War. We bring everybody back just to shoot that one fight scene. That would have been great.
Like Luke Cage says, always forward.
I'm still mad about. Don't even get me started on Netflix series.
I'm torn, like I said, between B- and a C+. I don't know. I am just.
Monty, Hannibal, I'm gonna have to pee at some time.
Yes.
No. Well, we're at the end of the episode.
Yeah, we hit the end.
For right now, I'm giving the movie a C+. I might change my mind later. I reserve that right. But right now, at this moment, I'm giving the movie a C+. I'm going to think on it and see how I feel about it later. I need to watch it again. But right now, today, I'm giving that movie a C+. Dark Phoenix is not the worst X-Men movie that has been created. It is not the worst movie.
All right. Well, with that being said, Mel, do you want to tell people where they can find you and tell them about all the new shit you're doing?
Awesome. Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Scientist Mel. You go there. I have several different shows. I have some shows that come out weekly. I have my Saturday morning science is what I call it. It's called The Science Of, where the viewers pick what it is that I discuss. Last Saturday, it was hormones. And apparently that got tagged by YouTube as inappropriate. As do they do a lot of the stuff that I do is strictly science. They will tag as not appropriate for their advertisers. So, all right. Aw.
Thanks for that. Thanks.
Use your atheist.
Who's your atheist? That is a fantastic name. Every time I see that name, I love it. And also, screw you for making us have to go see Tyler Perry's Medea family funeral.
Yeah.
Don't think I will never forget that you did that to us. All right, like that is my 9/11. I just want you to know. All right.
Oh my gosh.
That you made us go see that movie.
That's funny. But I do have a new show called Oral Audacity, which is on Sundays at 3 p.m. It's usually an hour to 2 hours long. Our very first episode was last Sunday. Doc Savage joins me. If you're not familiar with him, he is a Scotsman who can rival Deadpool in the swearing department,
yes.
I dare say. He is pretty hilarious. So last Sunday we ripped apart Deepak Chopra. So we're gonna have to have a Tupac Chopra song from Monty and Hannibal at this point, because we name dropped y'all. We're like, we gotta have Tupac Chopra. So we gotta have some terrible words that he says to some pretty sick beats. So, yes. But we completely destroyed it. We have a game that we play, Is It Real or Nah, where I have a little animated Karen, similar to the little shit on the show. This is Karen. She's a basic white girl. And she basically just talks about a product, and Doc has to guess if it's real or not. And it's usually like a pseudo science-based one.
That's a good segment. That's a really good segment.
It's
I like
so
it. That's
funny.
a great idea.
So we'll have to have you guys on, Hannibal and Monty, when we're ripping apart somebody. This coming Sunday, we're going to do David Avocado Wolf, who has actually blocked me on Twitter. He does not like me.
Nice.
So,
all right.
So we'll be talking about that. But this past Sunday had me in tears. I was laughing so hard because we talked about tummy belts that massage therapists were told to wear to help them cure their carpal tunnel disease that grounds them to the earth while they're sleeping.
All right.
All right.
Check that out, man. It's crazy.
Yes, I will. I'm gonna listen to it tomorrow. I tried downloading it before I flew home and it didn't work. And yeah, well, with that, Hannibal, anything you want to say before we head out?
No, I don't got nothing. We'll be probably doing a pop-up show later this week sometimes if Monty has the free time. We missed you guys so much over the last couple of weeks, and I'm very happy that we got a chance to hang out. The next time we do a show, it will not be when Drunken Peasants is doing the show.
Yes.
But we glad you guys stuck around. I have so much more X-Men stuff to talk about, so we might need to I might need to jump into Discord later on this week, or maybe tomorrow sometime, so we can talk about it some more.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I will be scheduling episodes tomorrow, all day tomorrow. I'll be working on scheduling shows. So if you're not on our Discord, watch our Discord. I might throw some polls up. And patrons, I'm sorry I haven't been interacting as much as I should. Tomorrow that changes. I will be there and we'll be chatting, and I might even pop up and do some art shit and go live with that during the day. So we'll see what happens there, and y'all can pop into the chat and all that. But other than that, that's everything.
Yeah, we're good.
So thanks for having me on the show, guys. This is always fun. I always have fun hanging out with my shit show bros.
Yes, thanks. We love having you on, Mel. And shitheads, thank y'all for being 5H1TE and not shitty. So, all right.
Pin Ultima is pulling up on 1,000 plunger points, bro.
Fuck. Damn. All right, Pin Ultima.
I don't know. We might have to do something for him when he gets to 1,000. I don't know what.
Hey, if you guys need merch, man, let me know. I'll throw something in your basket when you figure out who wins.
Hell yeah. Hell yes. I'm all the way with that. Also, Scientist Mel, I know you saw D Flowers MFN. That's my production partner. One of my production partners, Ace Wonder. So yeah, we'll definitely do your music for you. Like we'll mess around with that.
I do need some stuff for a couple segments I got, and I would love to have Tupac Chopra segment on my show. That would be great.
There you go.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. Well, this was a good show. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing else to say. Monty, take us out.
All right, here we go.
This was a shit show. Y'all finished or y'all done? I ain't got no more talking.
Almost. That didn't work out. That's why Zoe does this. Now they got to hear me. I still got more talk.